Chapter 213. The 5 warships had just finished repairing. Chu Tian is back. Meng Yingying raised her head and saw that Chu Tian had returned. She happily waved her little hand. Chu Tian, did you really go to the pirate's nest? What was it like inside? Was it fun? Everyone was speechless. This Meng Yingying was a fellow with no sense of humor. Chu Tian entering the giant shark gang's nest was a risky move. Nan Gongyun quickly asked, how did your discussion go? It's in the bag. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile and then said to Yingying, just wait and see. Your canned food will soon be sold throughout half of southern Xia and even all of southern Xia. Shen Fengho's eyes flashed. He knew what this meant. This brat had only gone in for a while. Could he have already reached an agreement with these fierce pirates? If it was like this, then it was a good thing. Otherwise, Shen Fengho would not allow the giant shark gang to continue causing trouble and would think of a way to eliminate all the pirates. I have an urgent mission, so it's inconvenient to stay here any longer. Chu Tian said to Shen Fengho, the pirates will not bother us anymore, so let's head to Thunder State as fast as we can. Shen Fengho nodded, let's head out immediately. The 5 warships began to move again. They swaggered through the calm waters, sailing across the misty lake. Other than encountering the giant shark gang, they were occasionally attacked by water demon beasts, but they didn't encounter any other big problems. On the evening of the next day, the warships arrived at Thunder State's docks. The reason why Thunder State was called Thunder State was because it had a special environment. There was a lot of rain and thunder, with meteors falling and the weather changing. According to Chu Tian's guess, the space above Thunder State was not very stable, which was one of the reasons for the planar crack. Everyone disembark. The deck of the warship opened, and the elite cavalry landed on the warhorses. Central State City's most elite cavalry troops generally had 80 to 90% body refinement realm strength. Their warhorses were level 1 high-quality demon beasts called Azure Gale Colts. They had a single horn on their heads and their bodies were covered in green scales. Not only did they have strong endurance and explosive strength, they could also shoot wind blades to attack their enemies. This was a special mount used by the elite cavalry of southern Xia. It could borrow the power of the wind attribute to accelerate. Its normal speed could easily reach 300 km per hour, and it could even exceed 400 km per hour at full power. At such a high speed, ordinary people would find it difficult to even breathe, let alone wield their weapons and fight. Thus, the Storm Cavalry's standards were very strict. At the very least, they had to be at the 7th level of body refinement and be proficient in a set of spear techniques. Even if they had to travel thousands of miles a day, they would still be able to quickly enter battle. This was a well-deserved team with super high mobility. The 1,000 cavalry came ashore and lined up in a row. As fast as lightning, they charged out. Meng Yingying had also received a storm horse. She was in high spirits as she sat on the back of the horse. She used her whip to point at the tall city in front of her and excitedly shouted, Chu Tian, I can see Thunder State's main city. Thunder State's main city was the same as Central State's main city. It was built on the 4 sides of the lake, making it convenient for shipping. At this moment, Thunder State City was shrouded in a heavy atmosphere. All of the city gates were tightly closed and the city walls were filled with Thunder State City's army. The ground outside was filled with holes, as if there had been several fierce battles. The farms on the outskirts of the city had been destroyed. The fields, medicine fields, and fruit forests had all been contaminated by some kind of power. All of the crops had withered and died. This was truly a heavy loss. The people of Central State were shocked. Could it be that even the main city had been affected? The severity of this disaster was even higher than what they had imagined. When everyone arrived at the bottom of Thunder State City, they saw that the ground was filled with scars. The majestic city walls were also damaged. A few soldiers wearing Southern Xia's armor were currently moving corpses out and piling them up in large pits that had been dug outside of the city. There were a total of 6 pits. Every pit had 3,000 to 4,000 corpses piled up like a small hill. Everyone was completely shocked. When had they ever seen such a terrifying scene before? Especially Feng Kaidai, Meng Yingying, and the other pure people. This was too terrifying. He had never seen a person being thrown to the ground like trash. The countless broken limbs piled up and twisted like a devil's painting. The smell of sulfur filled the air. It was accompanied by a strong burnt smell. It made their stomachs churn and they almost vomit on the spot. Meng Yingying was completely shocked. Are these the victims? They should be. Chu Tian looked at the corpses. Each one was seriously withered and had sunken eyes. Their bodies were burnt black like they had been burned by some kind of technique. The little fox stared at the corpses with interest. It forcefully took a deep breath, as if it could feel the dark attributed energy it liked. When the abyss demon passes through the plane crack, it will bring a large amount of abyss aura with it. These should be the citizens that have been contaminated by the abyss energy and have been controlled by the abyss demon. They should be demon soldiers under the control of the demon. Feng Kaidai revealed an unbearable expression. There should be large amounts of demonized humans in Thunder State right now. Chu Tian. Can you think of a way to save them? After all, they seem to be innocent victims. Only a sudden disaster caused them to become like this. Directly slaughtering them is too cruel. That's right. Meng Yingying also anxiously said to Chu Tian, you have great abilities, think of a way to help them. You have to understand that the demonization of living beings is irreversible. Even if there is a way, it is not something we can do with the resources we have right now. Chu Tian gave a bitter laugh. Each demonized being's body has been distorted, their minds have been shattered, and their souls have been deeply contaminated. In a certain sense, they have already become demons. The best way to deal with demonized beings is to purify them from their roots, freeing them from this endless pain. The Thunder State soldiers had already filled the pits with fuel and ignited the thousands of corpses. Meng Yingying and Feng Kaidai looked at the 6 giant pits of fire in silence for a long time. This kind of cruel scene was something they did not dare believe before. Don't be sad. Chu Tian patted Meng Yingying's shoulder. Didn't we come to Thunder State to help them? Meng Yingying nodded. She once again recognized the importance of strength. Shen Fengho, you're too slow. The city gates opened at this time and 2 middle-aged men came out. Their auras were very strong, not inferior to Shen Fengho's. They should be 2 of the 8 southern summer marquises. One of them was clad in golden armor. His skin was dark and rough, and he was dressed like a general. He exuded a decisive and capable aura, and there was a longbow in the shape of a dragon hanging on his back. His aura was as sharp as an arrow. Feng Kaidai said in a low voice, this person must be the Golden Arrow Marquis. The other was a middle-aged man with gray sideburns, looking around 50 years old. He had a square face, a high nose, and an extraordinary appearance. He was wearing a dark gold robe made of an unknown material and his right hand was holding a black spear, so he should be the Western Marquis. The Golden Arrow Marquis said, Brother Feng, Brother Shengguan, this Jiang thanks the 2 of you for saving Thunder State. Please come in. What, the Western Marquis is from the Shengguan family. Why are we so unlucky? Chu Tian had a depressed expression and the others were also helpless. They hoped that the Western Marquis did not know what happened in Central State. Thunder State City was a bustling main city just like Central State City. However, because of the crisis, all of Thunder State City's doors were closed and only a few shops were open. There were very few people on the streets and there were only soldiers patrolling. The cavalry was stationed on the outskirts of the city. Meng Yingying led the mercenaries to move the canned food to reward the army. The others entered the Golden Arrow Marquis Palace and saw 6 youths waiting in the main hall. Of the 6 youths, 3 were from Thunder State and 3 were from Southern State. Thunder State's geniuses were the Golden Arrow Marquis Jiang Xiong's successor Jiang Shan, the Thunder State General's son Lien Pejuan, and Thunder State's descendant Lin Changge. Southern State's geniuses were the Western Marquis Shangguan Hong's successor Shangguan Feichen. The other two were called Wei Long and Wu Yang, both super geniuses of Southern State's large families. Jiang Shan and Shangguan Feichen were both in the fifth awakened soul layer. Lien Pejuan, Lin Changge, Wei Long, and Wu Yang, they were all experts in the peak fourth awakened soul layer. The Golden Arrow Marquis Jiang Xiong gave a few loud laughs. Central State is filled with talents and the four young masters have become famous. Among them is the genius Chu Xinghe, with his unparalleled sharpness. Why is he not here this time? Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang are all injured, so they cannot participate in this mission. Shen Fengho introduced, Central State's Purple Lightning young master, Yun Yao, is leading the team. Yun Yao did not dare be negligent. This one's Yun Yao greets the two marquises. These are Feng Kai Dai, Nangong Yun, and Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Shangguan Hong's eyes flashed. What? A voice rang out. I was wondering why the people from Central State this time were so bad. It turns out Chu Xinghe is not here. I still want to compete with the geniuses of Central State. This was a man wearing a vest that revealed a thick arm. His skin was red and his name was Wu Yang, one of the geniuses brought by the Western Marquis. This person was in the peak fourth awakened soul layer and his style was similar to Central State's Luo Xianglong. Moreover, his strength was not below Luo Xianglong's, so he was indeed a top talent. Yun Yao's face sunk. This fellow was clearly provoking them. Nangong Yun had a fiery temper. You dare say we can't? Is that not the case? Wu Yang said with a cold smile, then why don't we compete if you're not convinced? Nangong Yun rolled up her sleeves and pulled out a giant hammer from behind her. Come. Let's compete. Shen Fengho knit his brows. Don't be rude. Don't forget our mission. The Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong said with a smile, Shen Fengho, young people have a strong spirit and are eager to win, otherwise how can they be improved? The calm martial ruler arranged for the young people to come to Thunder State to gain experience, so they wouldn't be blinded by a single leaf and not know the immensity of heaven and earth. It's rare for geniuses to meet, so why don't we have a little competition? Shangguan Feichen proposed, I agree with my father, but if one's cultivation base is too high, it will be hard to control it and cause unnecessary casualties. Why don't we invite the weakest among us to come out and have a spar? That's fine. The Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong did not give them any time to object. Wei Long, you specialize in defense and attack power is not your specialty. I ask you to come out and compete with Central State's Chu Tian. Chu Tian. Everyone understood when they heard this. After all this time, this fellow was here to cause trouble for Chu Tian. Chapter 214. The Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong most likely knew about what had happened in Central State City. Shangguan Ming had been ruthlessly taught a lesson by Chu Tian and in front of several thousand people, even his balls had been crushed. This was a member of the Shangguan family. Even if they were worthless, even if they were vile, how could they be taught a lesson by an outsider? A monkey that crawled out from who knows where dared to piss on a tiger's head? Currently, there wasn't much movement from King City, mainly because Shangguan Ming was in the wrong. As the special envoy that King City had sent to the Central State, he had to carry out a secret mission. Exposing his identity and running to the Central State's main city was definitely a blatant violation of King City's orders. What was even more wrong was that he actually coveted the Central State's hidden treasure and used the name of King City's special envoy to forcefully rob it. This was a huge taboo. The Shangguan family had sealed off the news and there were not many people in Imperial City that knew about this. If this matter was made too big, it would attract attention and damage the Shangguan family's reputation, so it would be difficult for them to take revenge. Not to mention that Shen Fengho had mediated the matter. They had to give face to the Southern Summer 8 marquises, so this matter was left unsettled. The Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong, was an important branch of the family. Although he did not have much contact with Shangguan Ming, as a member of the Shangguan family, he had a very strong sense of honor. This brat Chu Tian dared to disregard the Shangguan family's prestige, so how could they let him off easily? It would have been fine if they hadn't met. Since they had bumped into each other, they could not let him off easily. Shangguan Hong did not believe that the Divine Wind Marquis would fall out with him, one of the 8 marquises, for a junior. At this moment, a burly man walked out. He was like a silent small mountain lying in front of Chu Tian, giving people a strong sense of oppression. Wei Long and Wu Yang were both super geniuses of large families in southern state, but Wei Long was a bit weaker in comparison. Shangguan Feichen deliberately played with words. Most people had a misconception that a person with a strong defense would have a weak offense. This was not the case at all. Wei Long was a defensive expert, but with his strong defense, it did not stop him from having a strong destructive might. These two did not contradict each other. The southern states' Wei clan's several hundred-year-old mountain-moving secret art was not inferior to the Chu family's soul sword secret art in the southern summer country. It was said that when cultivated to the peak, it would have the power to move mountains and fill the sea to suppress demons. It was a powerful cultivation technique that could not be blocked by 10,000 people. Shangguan Feichen said with a faint smile, Wei Long is the 3rd-ranked genius of southern state. Wei Long didn't say much. His eyes flashed with a cold light as he coldly stared at Chu Tian. In a low and muffled voice, he said, "Do you dare to compete?" Wei Long's skin was dark, and he had a large stature. He wasn't the slightest bit inferior to Wu Yang, but compared to the fierce and violent Wu Yang, Wei Long was like a solid boulder, giving off an unshakable feeling. Shen Fengho was a little hesitant. Chu Tian should be able to win. Wei Long was only a bit stronger than Central State's Luo Xianglong. Chu Tian could defeat Luo Xianglong and Yi Tianlang alone without paying a large price. This meant that Chu Tian's strength had far surpassed this level. It all depended on whether he was willing to fight or not. Chu Tian gave Nangong Yun a look. Nangong Yun had been with Chu Tian for a long time, so she had a telepathic feeling. She could know what he meant from his eyes. She looked at Wei Long with a faint smile and said, "Big guy, are you sure you want to challenge the weakest of us?" "Of course." After Wei Long finished speaking, he probably felt that it was a little inappropriate, so he added, "Start from the weakest." "All right, wait a moment, I'll go get someone." Nangong Yun directly left the Marquis mansion. Chu Tian explained with a smile, "Since you want to fight the weakest, we'll just call the weakest person over. First defeat the weakest of us and then it won't be too late to challenge me, the second weakest." "Chu Tian. What did you call me over for?" After a few minutes, a young and beautiful green-clothed girl came in. She looked to be around 15 or 16 years old and had a childish look on her face. She said in a complaining voice, "I'm giving canned food to the soldiers of the 3 states, don't you know I'm very busy?" This big guy is the 3rd-ranked genius of southern state. Chu Tian pointed at Meng Yingying and said, "Our little girl is called Meng Yingying. She comes from a small family in a small central state city. I'm afraid she can't even enter the top 100. Wei Long felt insulted. "What do you mean?" "Humph, Central State's Chu Tian doesn't even have the courage to fight and instead sent a little girl to her death." Shangguan Feichen said in a disdainful voice, "If this were to spread, it would damage the face of Central State. Little girl, I think you're not bad, how about you follow this prince? It's better than this heartless person. Pay." Although Meng Yingying didn't understand the situation, she would not allow anyone to insult Chu Tian. That was simply insulting her. "What do you want to do?" Chu Tian said to the confused Meng Yingying, "This big guy wants to test your defense, how about you play with him?" "You should have said so earlier." "Then let's do it." Meng Yingying still had the proficient level Starlight Immortal body. In terms of fighting strength, she couldn't compare to normal people, but in terms of defense, even a 4th awakened soul layer cultivator wouldn't be able to break it. Did I hear wrong? Wu Yang broke out in laughter. You actually want to compete with Wei Long in defense? Just a weak little girl like you. If you can't do it, then give up. I'm ashamed for you. Damn. You dare look down on me. Meng Yingying was instantly enraged. She directly activated the Starlight immortal body and starlight seeped out from her body. Her originally crystal-like jade skin suddenly became transparent, reflecting a brilliant diamond-like luster. Countless mist-like spirit energy condensed above her head, finally forming a mirror-shaped source spirit. You want to challenge Chu Tian? Then you'll have to pass this trial first. Wei Long gave a cold snort and a mountain-like aura was released from his body. After the spirit energy condensed, it turned into a majestic mountain. On the surface of Wei Long's body, large amounts of hard stone quickly appeared. Mountain source spirit? No wonder it had such a strong defense. A trivial peak triple awakened soul little girl, how could she compare to a famous super genius like Wei Long? Wei Long gave an angry roar and his right arm was covered in stone armor. It instantly expanded by 6-7 times, as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. The mountain source spirit not only had a mountain-like defense, it could also condense a mountain-like strength. Wei Long was not a person who had tender feelings for the fairer sex. If this little girl wanted to die, then he would kill her first. That Chu Tian had to be dealt with. This was a task given by the successor and most likely the Western Marquis orders. If he could beautifully complete this task, perhaps he would be rewarded by the Western Marquis. The Southern Summer 8 Marquises were not like Shen Fengho who did not care about fame and fortune. Whether it was Thunder State's Golden Arrow Marquis or Southern State's Western Marquis, they were not just the protectors of the state, they were also the masters of the main city. Their military and political power were all concentrated. So in Thunder State and Southern State, half of the resources were monopolized by the Marquis family. There was only one super family and the other large families had to give them face. The two Marquis successors had already broken through to the fifth awakened soul layer, which was much higher than Chu Xinghe's cultivation base. Of course, having a higher cultivation base than Chu Xinghe did not mean he was stronger than Chu Xinghe. Chu Xinghe's innate talent was very rare and he had obtained an ancient sword cultivation inheritance. With his peak fourth awakened soul layer cultivation, even if he fought with these two successors, his chances of winning were very high. Roar! Wei Long gave a wild angry roar. The rock armor covering his right arm began to crystallize. It was like a layer of black crystal that was filled with an earthy yellow profound rune glow. Landslide fist. As the name implied. Once this fist technique was used, it was like a landslide, incomparably overbearing. It was hard to imagine. If a normal awakened soul cultivator was hit by this fist, they would instantly be turned into meat paste. Nangong Yun's face slightly sunk. She never would have thought that Wei Long would be this strong. If she knew this earlier, she would have personally gone up. Even Meng Yingying, who had the diamond body, would be injured by this punch. This bastard was too ruthless, even using such a heavy hand on a little girl. Meng Yingying was not in a hurry as she activated her magic mirror source spirit. The mountain source spirit was reflected and gradually materialized. Meng Yingying suddenly felt a strong energy enter her body. The nature of her spirit energy suddenly changed, becoming thick and firm. Watch me. Meng Yingying gave a delicate shout and a layer of rock quickly appeared on the surface of her body. Duplicating a source spirit. Shen Fengho, the Golden Arrow Marquis, and the Western Marquis were all stunned. This girl that no one cared about actually had this kind of rare innate talent. No. It's not just the right arm. The martial art is also duplicated. When Meng Yingying raised her right hand, a layer of crystal-like substance appeared on her slender white wrist. When this fist was sent out, it was also like a landslide. Landslide fist. How could she know the landslide fist? This was the Wei family's secret technique. Wei Long's face turned dark and terrifying. So what if she learned it, it was just an empty form, go die. Whether it was the size, strength, momentum, or speed of the two fists, they were all completely out of proportion, but they still collided with each other. Meng Yingying's starlight immortal body was not weak and she had duplicated most of Wei Long's mountain source spirit. The moment the two fists collided, the rock armor formed by Meng Yingying's mountain source spirit began to shatter from her right hand. When the black rock shattered, a diamond-like luster appeared on her skin, perfectly blocking the power of the landslide. Double defense. She was using double defense at the same time. Hong. Wei Long's power was reflected back and Meng Yingying's power also fell onto his body. The thick rock on his body shattered and the bones in his right hand released a series of popping sounds. He spat out a mouthful of blood into the sky and crashed through a wall of the Marquis Palace, falling onto the street outside and fainting. How is this possible? Everyone had expressions like they had seen a ghost. Chu Tian was shocked. How could this be? Even if the starlight immortal body could reflect a certain amount of damage, it shouldn't be this strong. The little fox bared its teeth, looking like it had already expected this. Meng Yingying looked at her fist in a daze and stupidly said, God, my fist is this strong. She suddenly thought of something and took out an old bronze mirror from her chest. The light on the surface of the mirror dimmed, as if some kind of power had been used. I know, this mirror has been used. Meng Yingying excitedly raised the little mirror. This mirror can increase the power of reflection. Thank you, little fox, for giving me such a good gift. The little fox pouted and pretended to wave its hand, indicating it was nothing. No one thought it would be this kind of result. Chu Tian took out Meng Yingying. He didn't expect Meng Yingying to win against Wei Long. The best result would be a draw with Wei Long, with no one being able to do anything to the other. Who would have thought that Meng Yingying would almost cripple Wei Long with a single punch? This kind of shocking result was something no one could have expected. Especially the fellows from Southern State, they all had livid expressions. Wei Long was the third-ranked genius of Southern State. Not only was this little girl at the peak of triple awakened soul, she didn't even have a bit of fame, she was just a nameless person. A famous genius of Southern State had been crippled by a nameless girl from Central State. Where would the face of the Southern State people go? Chapter 215. The Shengguan father and son had gloomy faces. The respected Wei Long had lost to a silly little girl. This was a giant insult to the Southern State geniuses. If this news reached Thunder State, where would the two of them have any face left? Can I go now? Meng Yingying anxiously scratched her head. I still have to give out canned food. There's nothing else for you to do. Chu Tian nodded. Go. Wei Long losing was an accident. When Meng Yingying duplicated abilities and martial arts, her spirit energy was consumed very quickly. If Wei Long had fought steadily, Meng Yingying would not have had a chance of winning. Who would have thought that Wei Long would be too fierce, directly using his strongest attack to kill Meng Yingying? As a result, he ended up harming himself. The strongest bullet hit him, and with the impact of Meng Yingying's power, Wei Long's solid defense collapsed in an instant. He was seriously injured on the spot, and he might not be able to recover in a short time. The golden arrow Marquis Jiang Xiong gave a few loud laughs. Powerful. Powerful. Shen Fengho has opened this Zhang's eyes. Shen Fengho also felt his face light up. It's just that his luck was good. Wei Long was a famous genius, but he had lost to the common Meng Yingying. This was enough to shock everyone. The Golden Arrow Marquis successor Jiang Shan also applauded. Central State is truly a land of heroes. Even if 3 of the 4 young masters aren't here, this lineup cannot be underestimated. Lian Pejuan and Lin Chang'e nodded. Actually, they had already discovered a strange phenomenon. Although Chu Tian's cultivation base was not high, whether it was the 5th awakened soul layer Yunyao, the fiery Nangong Yun, or even Shen Fengho's only daughter Feng Kaidai, they all treated him as the center. The Central State group was led by Yunyao on the surface, but the real leader was this Chu Tian. This person definitely had something special about him. I don't accept this. Wu Yang stood out under Shangguan Feichen's signal. Wei Long was just too careless and did not use his strongest strength. How could the southern state geniuses be inferior to central state? I, Wu Yang, shall clear the name of southern province. Wu Yang unsheathed a saber and pointed it at Chu Tian. If you're a man, then don't cower. Fight me fair and square. Shen Fengho was a little displeased. Is the Western Marquis determined to pester us to the end? The Western Marquis revealed a helpless look. Actually, Southern State encourages competition, so I never interfere with the matters of young people. I'll let them decide for themselves. The Golden Arrow Marquis also knit his brows. The Western Marquis was deliberately targeting this young man. Although he did not know what kind of grudge they had, this was not the kind of attitude a noble should have. But the Golden Arrow Marquis did not want to offend the Western Marquis at this time. The trouble in Thunder State needed the Western Marquis help, and these youths were here to gain experience, so they wouldn't be of much use. If they were injured, then they were injured. All right. Chu Tian pulled out the Netherworld sword and walked out. The blue and white flames lingered on the blade. I'll accept the challenge. Shen Fengho sighed when he saw this. He was not worried that Chu Tian would be injured, but rather he was afraid that this grudge would become even deeper. Listen well. My ancestral Heaven Flame Saber art uses spirit flames to cultivate. It is famous throughout Southern State and its might is boundless. Wu Yang revealed a fierce look and his saber began to release red flames. My saber is infused with earth spirit flames and can instantly melt steel. Even Wei Long's defenses cannot block it. Because its might is too strong, it will be hard for me to show mercy. If I'm not careful and cripple you or even kill you, don't blame me. Chu Tian had a calm expression. Then let's see if your saber is stronger or if the sword in my hand is sharper. If your earth spirit flame is hotter or my netherworld flame is sharper. Arrogant and ignorant, then die. Wu Yang's flames were completely condensed and he released his source spirit. His might instantly increased as he released his strongest move, Heaven Burning Dance. The saber seemed to summon the flames of hell as it contained a heaven-destroying might. Good move. Chu Tian's netherworld flame was also condensed to its limit. His entire body entered the netherworld and turned into a dazzling burning sword glow, netherworld raging flame slash. Dang! The two burning weapons clashed and the walls of the Marquis Palace's main hall were shattered. The saber chi and sword chi collided, fiercely shooting out. The two completely different kinds of strength seemed to cancel each other out. Wu Yang was shocked. This fellow could block his full strength slash. Chu Tian was also a little surprised. Even Luo Xianglong couldn't block this slash. Wu Yang's strength was much stronger than he imagined. The two of them seemed to be evenly matched, but Wu Yang was actually a level higher. This was because when the saber and sword collided, a portion of the flames had landed on Chu Tian's body. If he didn't have the Starlight Immortal body, Chu Tian would have already been defeated. This saber art was not inferior to the Raging Flame Slash. Wu Yang's weapon was also a top-grade soul weapon. Chu Tian's golden source spirit was stronger, but Wu Yang's cultivation base was much, much higher. Ha, ha, this slash counts as a draw. Wu Yang's saber lit up again, but how will you block my second slash? Wu Yang was very clear on his superiority, his cultivation base was suppressed. A fourth awakened soul layer cultivator compared to a triple awakened soul cultivator, not only was their spirit energy thicker, their spirit energy output was also faster. So Wu Yang was able to use the Heaven Burning Dance in a short period of time, but Chu Tian didn't have time to condense another sword art. Who would have thought that when Wu Yang condensed half of it, a pearl on Chu Tian's waist would release a glow. A large amount of netherworld flame would be released and absorbed by the long sword. What? Wu Yang's eyes were filled with fear as Chu Tian's sword stabbed forward. Wait, I admit defeat. Too late. The burning sword glow directly broke through the long saber. That sharp sword directly pierced through Wu Yang's protective spirit energy, and countless poisonous netherworld flames instantly drilled into his body. Wu Yang gave a pitiful cry before fainting. He lost again. And he lost in such a clean manner. Two peak fourth awakened soul layer geniuses actually couldn't beat two peak triple awakened soul cultivators. Shangguan Feichen used his spirit energy to stabilize Wu Yang's injuries. After a simple inspection, he flew into a rage as he said, "Wu Yang's meridians and viscera have been severely injured. I'm afraid only a high-grade sacred medicine can heal him." Damn! Shangguan Hong's face was filled with anger as he glared at Chu Tian with murderous intent. It was just a competition. Wu Yang clearly admitted defeat in the end, so why did you have to use such a vicious method to ruin his future? How could a vicious person like you appear in the central state? If I didn't show mercy, this waste would already be a dead man. Chu Tian sheathed his sword. Next time you want to cause trouble for someone, you should think about it first. Don't slap yourself in the face. It had been many years since someone dared to provoke the Western Marquis. The Western Marquis was still one of the 8 marquises of the southern summer country. The Golden Arrow Marquis looked at Chu Tian in a new light. The current youths found it hard to resist their pressure, but this youth named Chu Tian was calm in front of the Western Marquis and even dared to provoke him. He did have a bit of courage. You're going too far. Shangguan Feichen angrily stood up. I'll compete with you. Shangguan Feichen was the Western Marquis successor and had the hope of inheriting the Marquis title in the future. The resources invested on this person were not something an elder like Shangguan Ming could compare to. So Shangguan Feichen's strength was far stronger than Shangguan Ming's. Even if he was on par with the shocking Chu Xinghe, he would still be on par. Shen Fenghe was afraid that Chu Tian would do something crazy. Chu Tian had used his full strength against Wu Yang, so it was impossible for him to fight against Shangguan Feichen. It would be better if Chu Xinghe came instead. Enough. Shen Fenghe was already filled with a trace of anger. Does the Western Marquis really want to go too far? How about you and I compete? Shen Fenghe was truly angry. With Shangguan Hong's family background, he was not afraid of Shen Fenghe, but for a small Chu Tian, there was no need to become enemies with Shen Fenghe, who was also one of the 8 marquises. Brother Feng's words are too serious. Shangguan Hong pretended to reprimand him. Feichen, you are still a successor, so how could you lower your status to challenge a lowly wild cultivator? Wei Long and Wu Yang's skills are not as good, so they've lost. Let's end this competition here. Shangguan Feichen gave a cold snort. The Golden Arrow Marquis shook his head with a bitter smile. Everyone came to save Thunder State, so why did it become like this? Jiang Shan, entertain the geniuses of the 2 states. I want to discuss the strategy to eliminate this disaster with the 2 marquises. Jiang Shan brought the 2 Thunder State geniuses over. Thunder State is famous for its wine, so I'll treat everyone to a drink. Forget it. Shangguan Feichen was filled with rage, so how could he work together with Chu Tian? Wei Long and Wu Yang are heavily injured and I need to heal them, so I won't be accompanying you. After saying this, he left without looking back. Nangong Yun disdainfully said, petty and narrow-minded, he really isn't a man. Jiang Shan did not want any more trouble, so he immediately left with them. Jiang Shan's group of 3 and Chu Tian's group of 4 found a tavern to enter. Brother Chu's strength is truly impressive. The Golden Arrow Marquis successor Jiang Shan sat down and immediately began to laugh. To be honest, I don't like the Shangguan family either. Isn't it just because they have an illustrious background? Ever since they came to Thunder State, they've been pointing fingers at us, acting high and mighty. Now they've taught us a lesson. Ha, 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 ha. I never thought that Brother Chu would be able to defeat Wu Yang. Lien Pejuan had a face full of stubble. Although he was only 26 or 27 years old, he looked like he was in his 30s. If I fought him, I would only have a 50% chance of winning. My cultivation has already reached the peak 4th awakened soul layer, but Brother Chu is still in the void soul realm. This is truly incredible. Lin Chang'e gave an emotional sigh. The Chu family has produced a Chu Xinghe and a Chu Tian, both of them have the qualifications to become marquises. Central State is not simple. Central State's Chu family is not simple. Wrong. Nangong Yun quickly corrected him. Chu Xinghe is Chu Xinghe and Chu Tian is Chu Tian, they are not related at all. Moreover, although Chu Tian is also surnamed Chu, he is not related to the Central State Chu family at all. Jiang Shan, Lian Pejuan, and Lin Chang'e were all stunned. Chu Tian's potential was so strong, but he was not from the Central State Chu family. Feng Kaidai gave a simple description of the matter, speaking of which, Chu Xinghe, Luo Xianglong, and Yi Tianlang could not participate in this mission because of Chu Tian. Fuck. Lian Pejuan directly cursed, you crippled the three of them. Lin Chang'e was also stunned for a while before giving a thumbs up and saying, strong. You're too strong. No wonder Shen Fengho values brother Chu so much. I really look forward to the day when I can go to the northern battlefield with brother Chu and show off my skills against the spirit beasts. While Jiang Shan was speaking, he boldly picked up a jar of wine. Jiang Shan, admire heroes the most. Meeting everyone from Central State today can be considered fate, so let's make friends. No need to be polite, drink as much as you want. Actually, the Golden Arrow Marquis was considered a person of Southern Xia's generation. Although he was born in a small family, he had great talent. With a lucky chance, he had obtained an ancient archery inheritance. He had spent half his life in the military and had many military achievements, finally being bestowed the title of Golden Arrow Marquis. He still held the kingdom's military command and Thunder State was his military camp. Although the Golden Arrow Marquis was no longer on the battlefield, a third of the soldiers fighting the spirit beasts were trained in Thunder State. The Golden Arrow Marquis could not compare to the Southern Summer War god, the calm martial ruler, but he was very proficient in training. The Golden Arrow Marquis had a special method to train the army and the soldiers he trained were all elites of Southern Xia. The people of Thunder State were proud of joining the army, so they developed a heroic style. Jiang Shan, Lian Pejuan, and Lin Chang'e all held positions in the army. They lived and ate with the soldiers, so they had a high reputation in Thunder State. Although Jiang Shan was a noble successor, he did not have the arrogance of a normal noble. Lian Pejuan and Lin Chang'e, although they were old nobles, they did not have a domineering personality. These people were worth making friends with. You're all here. When they were about done drinking, Meng Yingying ran over while gasping for breath. Behind her was Lin Mu and Fang Han who were in charge of helping her. We've given 100 boxes of canned food to the soldiers of the 3 states and everyone has been stirred up, receiving a very warm welcome. There's still a bit left, so I'll leave it for you to eat. Jiang Shan was very curious, what are canned food? Central State Miracle Commerce has invented a kind of easy-to-store food. Feng Kaidai gave each of them a can of food. I'll also tell you that Brother Chu is the chairman of Miracle Commerce. If you think it's good, you can ask him. Miracle Commerce? This was the first time Lian Pejuan had heard of it, little Brother Chu's company. Ha, this is quite new. Brother Chu is already doing business at such a young age. Chu Tian helplessly said, I'm not like you guys who were born in a large family and have the support of a family. Cultivating costs this much money, so I have to do some business. While speaking, the 3 of them opened the cans. It's demon beast meat. Meng Yingying confidently said, quickly have a taste, the taste isn't bad. The 3 of them doubtfully took a bite. They had never eaten source energy cooked food before, so how could they imagine that demon beast meat could be this delicious? This is too incredible. When did demon beast meat become this delicious? Lian Pejuan and Lin Chang'e revealed looks of disbelief. Jiang Shan excitedly asked, how long can be stored for? Meng Yingying gave a shy smile. With Miracle Commerce's current technology, it can be stored for a year in a normal environment. What? A year. This was canned meat. A can of meat that could be stored for an entire year. Jiang Shan suddenly realized how important canned meat was to the army. A cultivator's body needed a large amount of energy and they needed a large amount of normal food. A normal awakened soul cultivator could eat an entire roasted lamb in one meal. So during the march, they needed a large amount of rations, so they had to bring some demon beast meat. Demon beast meat was very strong and it was hard to cut with a knife. Not only did it taste bad, it couldn't be eaten too much or there would be problems. But this canned meat was different. An elite soldier could bring a canned meat, which was enough for a day. Body refinement cultivators ate level 1 canned meat and awakened soul cultivators ate level 2 canned meat. Different cultivators and different levels of demon beasts were very beneficial to the army. This thing is too good. Jiang Shan was full of praise. Brother Chu, I'll represent my father to discuss with you. How many canned meat can you supply each year? Chu Tian revealed a faint smile. You'll have to ask Yingying about this. Miracle Commerce already has 2 canned meat factories in operation and will open 10 more in the near future. With enough materials, each factory can produce 20 to 30,000 high-quality canned meat every day. The production of canned meat wasn't bad. Jiang Shan's eyes lit up and he was very excited. From the popularity of the canned meat, our canned meat is in short supply. Meng Yingying thought about it. Every month we can supply Thunder State with at most 300,000 canned meat because there are high and low-level demon beasts. If it's canned meat for the army, the quality must be very high, so it should be around 10-15 million gold coins. This canned meat was not cheap. After all, there was a risk in trading across continents. 300,000 is too little. Jiang Shan said without even thinking, how about 40 million gold coins for 600,000 canned meat a month? This price was already very good. When he saw Meng Yingying hesitate, Jiang Shan quickly said, the Jiang family has no intention of stockpiling canned meat. These canned meat will be sent to the northern front lines, so it can be considered a contribution to the kingdom. We will not sell it on the market, so Miracle Commerce can still trade with Thunder State's merchants. Of course, the kingdom would also have to pay. It would be very troublesome for Central State to send the canned meat to the front lines, but Thunder State had a natural geographical advantage. Selling these canned meat, earning 10-20 million a month wasn't much. The kingdom wouldn't care about this bit of money. After all, the canned meat could increase the battle strength of the army. All right. Meng Yingying made her decision. 600,000 it is. Meng Yingying had just arrived in Thunder State when she received a large order. Thunder State's Jiang family's order would bring Miracle Commerce 20-30 million a month in profit. Chapter 216. In the morning of the next day, the Thunder State army gathered. Thunder State City sent out 40,000 soldiers to attack the polluted villages. Their main mission was to stabilize the area and stall the large amount of demonic creatures. The 3 marquises led the most elite storm cavalry with a day's worth of rations. They set off from the camp like a sharp knife, stabbing into the center of the disaster area. Finish this battle quickly. Destroy the demon stone in one fell swoop. Countless Thunder State citizens came out to send them off. This was a once-in-a-100-year disaster and it had brought a large loss to Thunder State. The people of Thunder State placed all their hopes on the 3 marquises, hoping that the strength of the 3 marquises would be enough to quell this disaster and bring peace back to Thunder State. The Golden Arrow Marquis said in a comforting voice, everyone, don't worry. With the support of Central State and Southern State, we will destroy the Demon Stone and return our Thunder State to its former glory. Long live! Long live! Countless citizens cheered. Many people began to cry out on the spot. This disaster did not just bring a loss of wealth, it also made countless people homeless and made countless people lose their families. Now they did not need to be afraid. The Southern Summer 8 marquises were the peak experts of Southern Xia. They were as strong as gods in the eyes of normal people. Now that 3 of the 8 marquises had come out, what problem couldn't they solve? This is strange. Shen Fengho rode on the storm horse and looked left and right. He asked Chu Tian beside him in a curious voice, "Where did Chen Bingyu go?" Shen Fengho had not seen Chen Bingyu since yesterday. Chu Tian revealed a mysterious smile. "I had her make some preparations in advance, just in case something unexpected happens." Shen Fengho helplessly nodded. Chen Bingyu had a bit of friendship with him, and Shen Fengho was very clear on this woman's personality. Even Shen Fengho could not order her around, but who would have thought that Chen Bingyu would obediently follow Chu Tian's orders? It really was one thing against another. But speaking of this, what was this brat planning? "Everyone, please return to the city and wait for the victory. Everyone, move out." The Golden Arrow Marquis loudly shouted. With the bugle calls, the 3 armies set off. Southern Xia's most elite cavalry unit was the Storm Knights. Thunder Continent sent out 2,000, Central Continent sent out 1,500, and Southern Continent sent out 1,500. 5,000 cavalrymen marched majestically toward the core of the disaster area. The entire world was gloomy, as if it was enveloped by an evil and powerful aura. As the group approached the center of the disaster area, the withering of the plants became more and more severe. Planar cracks were very short-lived, because once a crack was formed, it would be automatically repaired by the space-time laws. Therefore, to the Abyss demons, the opportunity to invade the plane was something that could only be encountered by chance. However, if the demons of the Abyss world succeeded in breaking into the plane before the crack was completely repaired, they would break the spatial barrier and bring the power of the Abyss world to the Earth. The more powerful the invading demon, the worse the effects would be. Now that a large area of land had been contaminated by the aura of the Abyss, it meant that the invading evil demons were extremely powerful. So, when the demons invaded Thunder State, large amounts of citizens died and a portion of the cultivators were turned into Abyss demon soldiers. This land that was contaminated by the aura of the Abyss would affect the plants and animals for a long time. Humans who lived here for a long time would gradually gain special abilities, but they would have to pay a price. If it was light, they would become violent and bloodthirsty, but if it was heavy, they would become abnormal. After 3 hours, the 5,000 cavalrymen lined up on the hill. The flags fluttered and the atmosphere was solemn. This was the deathly silence before the battle. "Everyone, look." The Golden Arrow Marquis held the reins in one hand and the Golden Bow in the other. "In front of us is White Jade City that was directly affected. The Heaven Demon Stone fell in the center of White Jade City and there are no survivors in the city. 80% of the normal people died and around 20% of the cultivators were turned into monsters. A ruined black city stood in the plains in front of them. There was a giant hole in the center of White Jade City that looked like it was formed by a meteorite. But what was strange was that there was a green flame coming from the hole. Everyone could clearly feel that there was a strong consciousness and energy in the center of the giant meteorite that was beating in a certain rhythm. It was very strong. It was like a volcano. It could explode at any moment. The storm horses were affected by the aura and became restless. This kind of ability was very strong and the trained demon beast mounts could barely resist it. If a normal cavalry came here, they would have been thrown into chaos before the battle even began. There are demonic creatures all around here and the density is higher than we imagined. Shen Fengho looked around and found that there were large groups of Abyss demon soldiers around White Jade City. "If the 3 of us charge in, we'll run out of spirit energy." The Golden Arrow Marquis nodded. "We need to delay the demonic creatures and the 3 of us can take this chance to kill the demons." It was not hard for the 3 marquises to charge in. The problem was that they would be surrounded. What would they do? Even if the 3 marquises were strong, they would quickly run out of spirit energy. If a cultivator lost their spirit energy, they would not have any battle strength. "I suggest we split into 3 groups." The Western Marquis gave a suggestion. 1,000 cavalry on the left, 1,000 cavalry on the right, and 3,000 cavalry on the center. We'll surround White Jade City in 2 groups, clearing out the threats on the outside and attracting the attention of the demonic creatures, drawing away most of the demon soldiers in the city. We'll take the center group to the meteorite in the center and destroy the demon stones, releasing the evil energy. I think it's feasible. The Golden Arrow Marquis said, we can't kill the demonic creatures, so the best way is to use the cavalry's mobility and White Jade City's terrain to restrict them, giving us a chance to kill them in one strike. Shen Fenghe did not have any objections. The strategy has been decided, let's prepare to move. The Golden Arrow Marquis Jiang Xiong announced, killing the demonic creatures today is the same as killing enemies on the battlefield. The one with the most merit will be rewarded by the calm martial ruler. Perform well and don't miss this chance. Fei Chen. The Western Marquis suddenly called out, there is only one person left from the Southern State Trio, you and the Central State Geniuses will be responsible for the left. Letting Shangguan Fei Chen be responsible for the left, wasn't this just giving trouble to Chu Tian? Of course, this was also to take away this chance from Chu Tian's group. The calm martial ruler had prepared a very rich reward for this experience. The Golden Arrow Marquis' successor's Jiang Shan was not weak and he had a high prestige in the army. Shangguan Fei Chen had to avoid Jiang Shan to have a chance to obtain merit. Shen Fenghe gave a suggestion, the 2 successors can switch positions, making it easier for the troops to move around. Humph, could it be that Fei Chen can't move around like an arm? What kind of logic is this? The Western Marquis, Shangguan Hong, did not plan on giving Shen Fenghe face. The Golden Arrow Marquis' successor, Lian Pejuan, and Lin Changge have been partners for a long time, so they already have a tacit understanding. If we split them up now, wouldn't it decrease our battle strength? Central State is surrounded by no danger and the youths have never been on the battlefield before. Even if Fei Chen isn't mature enough, he has fought with the southern barbarians for many years and has experience breaking through enemies. Although he doesn't have the ability to lead an army, he is more than enough to lead a team. Shangguan Hong said this and then looked over Chu Tian's group with an arrogant gaze. Of course, this is on the premise that no one is hindering us. Shangguan Hong was not without reason. Shen Fenghe did not think this way. The Shangguan family had provoked them twice yesterday, but they had been defeated and 2 geniuses had been heavily injured. These 2 geniuses were Shangguan Fei Chen's left and right arms, so how could Shangguan Fei Chen swallow this? He would most likely cause trouble for Chu Tian on the battlefield. In front of the enemy, there's no need to care about personal grudges. Shen Fenghe did not say anything, but Chu Tian took the initiative to agree, then let the Shangguan successor lead the troops. Chu Tian was not afraid of numbers. If Shangguan Fei Chen really dared to cause trouble, Chu Tian would have Nan Gongyun cripple him. He didn't know how strong Shangguan Fei Chen was, but Nan Gongyun's battle strength did not lose to a 5th awakened soul layer cultivator. Feng Kaidai was only a bit weaker than Nan Gongyun and there was also Yun Yao with the Thunder Spirit Bead. The most important thing was the super bodyguard Chen Bingyu would protect them in secret. If this Shangguan Fei Chen was honest, perhaps everyone would be safe. Otherwise, the unlucky one would be him. After Shen Fenghe understood this, he did not say anything else. Everyone was divided into 3 groups. The left group was led by Shangguan Fei Chen, the right group was led by Jiang Shan, and the 3,000 elites led by the 3 marquises were in the middle. Before Chu Tian left, he said to Shen Fenghe, the Abyss Demon's strength is a bit stronger than expected. If the Marquis has no way to deal with it, then we'll think of a way to lure it out of the city and then quickly retreat. Shen Fenghe was stunned. What do you mean? You think we can't deal with it? From the current situation. Chu Tian knit his brows as he looked at the giant hole. It's hard to say. The 3 marquises couldn't deal with a trivial abyss demon. If the 3 marquises couldn't deal with it, then what use could Chu Tian do? Chu Tian solemnly said to Shen Fenghe, I asked the Marquis to remember what I said. If we can't deal with it, we'll lure it to the east. Everyone prepare to charge. Shangguan Feichen charged at the front while the others all rode their storm horses. Over 1,000 blue horses were like a furious wave, wildly charging down the hill. Everyone charge with me. Jiang Shan led a group of cavalrymen and charged towards the right side of White Jade City from the hillside. Two groups of cavalrymen that were brimming with explosive power rushed down from the withered yellow and dusky ground and immediately fought with the wandering monsters outside White Jade City. There were thousands of Abyss Demon soldiers roaming the plains outside the city. The Abyss Demon soldiers were once demonized citizens of the city. At this moment, they were all black like they were being roasted. Their eyes were sunken in and their mouths were wide open, with green flames flowing out of their orifices. They had already lost their consciousness, only having a brutal and murderous instinct. When the cavalry charged down like a flood, the ground shook. The Abyss Demon soldiers gave wild beast-like roars and moved at a speed that normal people could not imagine. Looking from the sky, it was like a sea of green flames, quickly gathering from all directions, colliding with the blue cavalry. When they were around 50-80 meters apart, the green warhorses gathered their strength, and a large wave of light green wind blades, like a wave, instantly whistled towards this group of monsters. The ground was instantly cut full of holes, and countless Abyss Demon soldiers were mercilessly dismembered. The blue cavalry brandished their spears as they charged forward. Horse hooves like a tide. 1,000 cavalry spear. The cavalry used the hill to increase their speed to 400 kilometers per hour. These elite cavalry were trained and did not have weak cultivation bases. Under this high-speed charge, with a single thrust of their spears, even a low-level awakened soul cultivator's protective spirit energy could be pierced through. These normal citizens that had been corroded by the Abyss energy, even if they were not inferior to the elite soldiers, they were still suppressed without any suspense. It was a frontal charge of flesh and metal. The cavalrymen roared past. The sky was covered in black demon blood, and the ground was covered in charred limbs. After a long charge, the originally densely packed Abyss Demon soldiers instantly fell to the ground, and the ground was dyed black by demon blood. The elite cavalry of the southern summer country was truly sharp. This was a completely one-sided slaughter. Chapter 217. The Abyss Demon soldiers were monsters formed from human cultivators being demonized by the power of the Abyss. Although the demonization process increased their battle power by several times, the strengthening was limited. In front of the elite cavalry of southern Xia, they were as weak as paper. The 1,000 cavalry directly pierced through the Abyss Demon soldiers. After running for several dozen miles, they pulled away from the Abyss Demon soldiers and began to slow down. Turn around. Continue charging. Shangguan Feichen waved a long brush. The tip of the brush was as sharp as a spear and it was covered in black demonic blood. The horses were also covered in a layer of black blood. The storm cavalry had just turned their horses around. Countless Abyss Demon soldiers gathered in front of them. Looking from above, they looked like thousands of bloodthirsty ants, forming a flood that charged at their prey. A portion of the demon soldiers that had been demonized had appeared. The scorched black skin of these demon soldiers was even tougher and thicker, like a layer of natural keratinized armor. The joints of their elbows had mutated, and their entire forelimbs were like pitch-black sharp knives. Regardless of whether it was their speed or ferocity, they were much stronger than normal demon soldiers. Countless demon soldiers were like monkeys, swiftly and nimbly surging out of the collapsed city walls. Cruel, bloodthirsty, and hysterical madness, it made people shudder. The storm cavalry's hooves did not scare them. Instead, it made them even more ferocious. These demonized beings were not much different from the undead, they did not have any fear. Not to mention human cavalry, even if a giant dragon blocked their way, they would still charge forward without hesitation. Kill, kill, kill. Kill them all for me. Shangguan Feichen charged forward again. The blue stream slammed into the black tide and flesh and metal clashed again. The Azure Gale Colts released a wave of wind blades that destroyed the strongest demon soldiers at the front, greatly reducing their momentum. Following that, the elite cavalry charged forward, once again displaying their powerful battle power. Wherever their spears passed, the demon soldiers would be torn apart one by one. Wherever the valiant Azure Gale Colts stepped, the MO soldiers were crushed into mud and buried into the ground. The second wave of slaughter was completed. Although the demon soldiers were increasing in number, the cavalry's morale was rising. Because they had killed many demon soldiers in 2 waves, the storm cavalry did not have any casualties. These guys only looked scary on the outside. They didn't have any intelligence, and they didn't have any battle tactics. They were just a bunch of mobs. Charge again. Kill again. We have to attract the attention of these monsters and last until the 3 marquises destroy the demon stone. Shangguan Feichen led his cavalry to charge out of the encirclement using the flat terrain, once again pulling away from the demon soldiers and turning around. Everyone prepared to charge and then charged at the black mass of demon soldiers. The third round of harvesting began. This time, something unexpected happened. When everyone was halfway through killing, a unique MO soldier suddenly charged out of the countless MO soldiers. It was taller than an ordinary demonified person, and its body was very bloated. Its scorched black skin was full of cracks, and green flames surged from the cracks, blooming with a very bright light. There was a surge of power that was on the verge of bursting out of his frail skin and exploding out of his body. Die! A cavalryman charged forward and pierced through the demon soldier with his spear, instantly sending him flying more than 10 meters away. Just as the knight skillfully shook his spear and was about to throw the impaled demon weapon away. Pa! 2 large hands covered in cracks suddenly gripped the spear shaft. This cavalryman had a very bad feeling. What is going on? He didn't even have time to think before his entire body was covered in a green light. The cracks on the demon soldier's body suddenly exploded. Countless green flames spilled out, instantly devouring several cavalrymen and blowing them away along with their horses. Only charred black pieces were left on the ground, not even their corpses could be found. Everyone was shocked. There were casualties. There were demon soldiers that could self-destruct. Figures of light charged out from the city walls. They were all large and their bodies were covered in cracks, with flames flowing out of them. There were over 1,000 of them and they were all demon soldiers that could self-destruct. This is bad. How could they fight this? These demon soldiers would explode with a single touch. They were the bane of cavalrymen. Other than the self-destructing demon soldiers, there were other demon soldiers that they had never seen before. If the demon soldiers outside the city walls looked like humans, then the new demon soldiers that came out had completely turned into demons. Their skin was completely gone and their bodies were covered in green flames. They had 2 horns on their heads and their eyes revealed a cruel glow. Hong! There was a demon that threw out a flame javelin. The cavalrymen did not have a chance to block it and were hit by the flame javelin. They fell from their horses and were trampled to pieces by the horses behind them. There were even long-range attacks now. Like this, the 1,000 cavalrymen could not deal with them at all. Just the large group of self-destructing demon soldiers was enough to make them suffer. What should they do now? There are more and more enemies. We've already been surrounded. Once we lose the cavalry's advantage, we'll be in danger, so we need to think of a way to break through. Shangguan Feichen loudly shouted and then pointed at the dense group of self-destructing demon soldiers. We can't fight these fellows head-on. Chu Tian, I order you to lead them away. Everyone had already seen the might of the self-destructing demon flame soldiers. Early awakened soul cultivators could not withstand an explosion at all, and even an intermediate awakened soul cultivator would be killed if they were surrounded by a large group of self-destructing demon flame soldiers. In this large group of demon flame soldiers, there were at least 1,000 of them and their numbers kept increasing. Even a true soul expert like Chen Bingyu would die without a doubt if she was trapped in this group. Shangguan Feichin had actually ordered Chu Tian to lead them away. Wasn't this clearly sending Chu Tian to his death? Nangong Yun was the first to object. Why aren't you leading them away? You clearly know that the self-destructing demon soldiers are dangerous, but you're still sending others to their deaths. Yun Yao was also very angry at Shangguan Feichin's order. What are your intentions? Shangguan Feichin angrily said, I am the cavalry's captain and orders are like mountains in the army. Since you dare disobey orders, I have the right to kill you just based on this. Fuck, you want to kill me? Nangong Yun angrily chased after him, since I'm going to die, I'll just beat you up first. Nangong Yun had a gunpowder keg personality in other than Chu Tian, she would not submit to anyone else. This arrogant Western Marquis successor had provoked him several times, but Chu Tian did not bother with him. Now he was sending Chu Tian to his death. Fuck, if he could endure this, then wouldn't he be treating the Central State people as cowards? You. He did not even dare to say a single word. Nangong Yun chased in front of Shangguan Feichin and the giant hammer was covered in red runes. It suddenly released a power that could melt steel as it slammed down at Shangguan Feichin. Nangong Yun was in the illustrious soul realm and had a monstrous strength. If she really hit Shangguan Feichin, even if he did not die, he would still be knocked off his horse. He would still die without a doubt if he was surrounded by the demon soldiers. Everyone was filled with shock. Was this girl crazy? She would actually kill the Western Marquis successor in a fit of rage. How could the Western Marquis successor be a normal person? Shangguan Feichin was stronger than Shangguan Ming. He drew a few strange runes in the air with a long pen and then the runes exploded like a spider web. It instantly turned into a shield made of runes. It was as thin as a cicada's wing, but the light it released gave people a strong feeling. Hong! The hammer directly shattered it. Shangguan Ming's expression fell, this girl has such terrifying strength. The giant burning hammer fell down and Shangguan Feichin used his pen as a spear. It was a good thing that the light shield had weakened the power of the giant shield, so it was able to block Nangong Yun's hammer. Die! The tip of the brush released several drops of inky energy. This was not ink, but rather the Shangguan family's secret technique that condensed spirit energy into liquid form. Each drop was enough to pierce through metal and even an illustrious soul realm cultivator's protective spirit energy would be instantly torn apart. Peng, peng, peng. Several crisp sounds rang out. Nangong Yun's protective starlight was shattered by the drops of ink, creating many small cracks, but it did not shatter. Shangguan Feichin's expression fell. This defensive cultivation technique was. Could it be that Chu Tian and the people by Chu Tian's side had all learned this cultivation technique? Nangong Yun gave a disdainful laugh, the Western Marquis successor is only this strong, watch my hammer. She was about to smash down with the hammer again. Shangguan Feichin was filled with rage, you really think I don't dare kill you? Die! Nangong Yun, stop! Chu Tian shouted. Now was not the time to make a move. There were demon flame soldiers all around them and over 1,000 cavalry soldiers were surrounded, so how could they have time to fight? Breaking out of the encirclement is more important. Attacking the captain, this is a crime worthy of death. Shangguan Feichin's face turned pale, the only chance to redeem yourself is to draw away the self-exploding demonic blade. Shangguan Feichin had only exchanged blows with Nangong Yun for an instant, but he could feel the other side's strength. Even if he could defeat Nangong Yun, he would have to pay a large price. Damn! A trivial branch of the Nangong family actually had this kind of strength. There were more and more demon flame soldiers in front of them and the cavalry's charge was weakening. The self-exploding demon flame soldiers were catching up and the situation was very dangerous. Once the self-exploding demon flame soldiers got close, it would be a disaster for them. I've given such a good chance to make a contribution to Chu Tian, how could I not appreciate it? Chu Tian turned around and shouted to Nangong Yun's group of 3, come with me, we'll draw away the self-exploding demon flame soldiers. He agreed so easily. Shangguan Feichen could not have asked for more. It would be best if these fellows were surrounded by the demon flame soldiers. Chu Tian raised the netherworld sword high up. With such a great merit in front of us, it would be a waste if we don't accept it. Charge with me. Saying this, he left the group and charged at the densely packed demon flame soldiers. Nangong Yun, Feng Kaidai, and Yunyao were stunned. He really did not want his life, but they trusted Chu Tian and followed behind Chu Tian without any hesitation. They couldn't care less. They would risk it all. They rode their horses into the middle of the self-exploding demon flame soldiers. Chapter 218. The speed of these self-destructing demon flame soldiers was extremely fast. They were not much slower than cavalry when they ran at full speed. Using self-destruct to release energy to attack made these monsters even more frightening. Even if a true soul realm expert was surrounded by them, they would still die. Chu Tian left the cavalry without any hesitation. Raising his sword and riding his horse, he charged into the midst of the self-destructing demon flame soldiers. Those ugly monsters with bloated bodies and cracked bodies were like a raging sea. They were like bloodthirsty beasts that had found their prey, angrily roaring as they surrounded the four of them. The expressions of Nangong Yun and the others all changed. Chu Tian raised the netherworld sword and a sword chi flew out, cutting a self-destructing soldier in half. The torn body immediately blossomed with light, and vigorous energy was about to be released, turning into a giant energy fireball that kept expanding and exploding. At this critical moment, a little white fox jumped out and sucked in the energy. The green fireball seemed to be attracted and turned into two streams that were swallowed into the little fox's stomach. The flames released by the self-destructing demon flame soldiers, other than burning themselves to ashes, did not cause any harm to them. Nangong Yun, Feng Kaidai, and Yunyao were suddenly enlightened. It was no wonder that Chu Tian was not afraid. The little fox could control the self-destructing demon flame soldiers. As long as the energy released by the self-destructing demon flame soldiers reached a certain density, the little fox could instantly absorb it and reduce the energy to below the point of explosion. Then the self-destruction would be natural. The demon flame soldiers burned themselves to ashes, but they could not harm Chu Tian's group at all. Little fox, good job. Nangong Yun's confidence increased. Kill all of these monsters. Yunyao used her cultivation at the fifth awakened soul layer to control the thunder spirit bead. Lightning was released from it, hitting several demon flame soldiers with each strike. Feng Kaidai released the wind and cloud sword song, and countless sword chi surrounded the four of them, forming a protective circle. The demon flame soldiers were fast and had strong destructive power, but their bodies were very weak. They had no defense at all and could be destroyed with a single attack. The little fox absorbed all the energy, making all the nearby demon flame soldiers lose their ability to self-destruct. The four of them passed through over 1,000 self-destructing demon flame soldiers as easily as a sharp fruit knife cutting through a watermelon. Everywhere they passed, the self-destructing demon flame soldiers fell to the ground, and large amounts of flames spewed out from their bodies, igniting their bodies and the surroundings. In an instant, a long sea of death was formed, which blocked the other types of demon flame soldiers. Continue. Chu Tian led a few people around and killed a small portion of the demon flame soldiers. At this time, Shangguan Feichen's cavalry had already disappeared from sight. There are more and more demon soldiers around us. We're about to be surrounded. Of course I know. Chu Tian could not stay here any longer. Otherwise, with the strength of the four of them, they would not be able to defend against so many demon flame soldiers. Follow me, let's kill our way out. The four of them rode towards the east of Bayou City. In truth, Chu Tian was not following Shangguan Feichen's orders. The reason why he had agreed to stall the demon flame soldiers was so that he could leave the cavalry. That way, he would have more time to prepare. The three marquises had been watching the battle from a distant hill. The 3,000 storm cavalry did not move, so they could see the situation around Bayou City. The Golden Arrow Marquis' successor, Jiang Shan, moved around the right side of the city, naturally encountering large amounts of self-destructing demon flame soldiers. However, Jiang Shan had received the Golden Arrow Marquis teachings and his archery skills had reached perfection. Even on horseback, he could still kill enemies 1,000 meters away with a single arrow. Jiang Shan's source spirit was a white jade arrow. When he pulled the bowstring, spirit energy was released from his fingertips, instantly forming a white jade spirit energy arrow that shot out at a speed that was hard to see with the naked eye. With Jiang Shan continuously pulling the bowstring, the white jade arrows continued to shoot out. There was not a single arrow that missed, as they all hit their targets. When the large group of self-destructing demon flame soldiers charged out, Jiang Shan tightly gripped the horse's back and loudly shouted, "Prepare the arrow array." After that, Jiang Shan suddenly pulled out a shining golden arrow from the quiver of the warhorse. The arrow was covered with complex and esoteric runes. He had always used the power of his original spirit to make arrows, and this was the first time he used a real arrow. Meteor Arrow Rain. Jiang Shan pulled the bow and shot it into the sky. With a shrill sound, the golden arrow exploded in the sky like fireworks. Several hundred arrows of light fell down like a meteor shower and quite a few of the self-destructing demon soldiers were hit, causing them to explode on the spot. Jiang Shan was leading a group of cavalry that was mostly made up of Thunder State's storm cavalry. Most of the Thunder State cavalry were equipped with bows and arrows, so another wave of arrows was released to supplement the attack. Although there were some fish that escaped the net that caused some casualties, it was still considered smooth. Shen Fengho nodded and praised, "The Golden Arrow Marquis' successor has the style of the Golden Arrow Marquis." The Golden Arrow Marquis laughed, "This brat's innate talent is very high. If he is sent to the battlefield for a few years, I think his achievements will be far above mine." At this time, the Western Marquis knit his brows. "Feichen is in trouble." The three of them looked over at the same time. Shangguan Feichen's group was surrounded by at least 10-20,000 demon flame soldiers and their current situation was not good. However, at this time, several people suddenly left the group and charged into the large group of self-destructing demon flame soldiers. Shen Fengho was shocked, "It's Chu Tian's group. What were these people doing? Did they not know that this was very dangerous?" What made everyone dumbfounded was that Chu Tian's 3 mounts charged in and out of the exploding demon flame soldiers, but not a single demon flame soldier managed to explode. It was like they were being suppressed by some kind of power. The 4 of them had blocked over 1,000 dangerous demon flame soldiers. At this time, Shangguan Feichen had already led the other cavalry out of the demon flame soldiers' encirclement. The Golden Arrow Marquis gave a loud laugh. "Chu Tian's group has saved the lives of the entire army and destroyed all these demon flame soldiers, this is a great merit." The Western Marquis gave an unhappy snort. "Most of the demon flame soldiers have been attracted by the 2 sides, so it's time for us to charge into the city. It's about time." The Golden Arrow Marquis looked at the center of the city, at the burning crater. "Let's make our move." The low sound of a horn to charge rang out from the hillside. The 3,000 cavalry finally moved out. This elite troop of cavalrymen neatly formed into a charging formation. Accompanied by the sound of the horn, they rushed down from the hillside and arrived in front of Bayou City in a grandiose manner. The demon flame soldiers had already been thrown into chaos by the 2 vanguards. When they realized that there was an even larger team charging in, how could they have time to resist? The cavalry led by the 3 marquises easily tore through the demon flame soldiers' barrier. The Golden Arrow Marquis pulled his bowstring and a thick spirit energy condensed into a golden arrow. It was a normal-sized spirit energy arrow, but when it was released, it quickly grew in size, creating a strong wind. Wherever it went, the demon flame soldiers would be torn to pieces. When the arrow hit the city wall, it instantly grew to a length of 7 to 8 meters. It was as thick as a person's waist. Shockingly, it was a super huge arrow. As if it was a piece of paper, it easily pierced through the dilapidated city wall of Bayou City, forcefully opening up a path that led straight into the city. The Southern Summer 8 Marquises really were not ordinary people. The Golden Arrow Marquis had pierced through the city walls with a single arrow. Kill your way in. When the Golden Arrow Marquis created a hole in the city walls, the cavalry were like a flood, pouring in through this hole. Although cavalry could not display their battle strength in a city, the Azure Storm Colts were not normal horses. As long as there was a street, there was enough space for them to charge in. Scatter. The Golden Arrow Marquis waved his hand. An entire cavalry team split into several small teams that quickly filled the streets. They quickly cut through the demon flame soldiers in the city, buying more time to destroy the demon stone. The 3 Marquises had to preserve their spirit energy and destroy the demon stone that contained the evil energy, so they did not make a move. They led the several hundred storm cavalry through the main street of White Jade City, charging into the center of the city like lightning. They finally saw the giant meteorite crater. Such a strong evil aura. The cavalry almost could not control their horses. There was a very evil and hot energy that was being released from the center of the crater. Even with the cultivation of the 3 Marquises, they felt uncomfortable as green sparks floated around them. We've found the demon stone. The negative energy here is too strong, we can't stay here for long. Otherwise, the soldiers and horses will be in danger of being demonized. The 3 Marquises flew into the air and landed on the edge of the giant crater. This giant crater was 1,000 meters wide and it was right in the center of the city. The shockwave it created had destroyed half of the city, so it could be imagined just how terrifying the demon stone was. Right now, the entire crater was covered in green flames. The flames condensed and didn't dissipate. They were like green crystals that sealed the entire crater. From the bewitching amber crystal-like flames, not only did they exude a thick evil aura, but they also released a powerful life energy. Rising and falling, inhaling and exhaling. It was like a mother giving birth to life. The demon stone slumbering in the crater was greedily and madly absorbing the life energy. The aura it exuded was constantly growing. Chu Tian's prediction was not wrong at all, the monster was becoming stronger. If they followed the calm martial ruler's original plan, they would first control the disaster area and then slowly and steadily shrink the encirclement. At that time, they would be able to reduce the casualties, but it was unknown how strong the demon would become. The earth gradually began to shake and tremble. A strong and fierce consciousness was slowly awakening from its slumber. It seems like it has already sensed our existence. Shen Fengho had never seen this kind of creature before. This is the abyss demon that Chu Tian mentioned. Abyss world. A place that could give birth to this kind of life. What kind of place was it? There's no time. Our casualties are becoming more and more serious. The Storm Cavalry was the most elite cavalry of southern Xia, with each state having 2,000–3,000 of them. It was not easy to train them, so it would be a pity if they were all killed here. The Golden Arrow Marquis roared, "Directly attack." Chapter 219. He made the first move. Shen Fengho released a hurricane into the air. With a wave of his hands, a terrifying strength was released without reservation. For blue tornadoes condensed in the air and appeared around the Divine Wind Marquis. With a powerful aura, it suddenly closed in on the crater. At this moment, the entire world seemed to change. Storm Source Spirit. Shen Fengho had a storm as his source spirit, so he could control the storm as he pleased. Shen Fengho raised his hand to summon a storm. In terms of attack range, momentum, and fierceness, he was the head of the 8 Marquises. The only flaw was that because it was too strong, it consumed energy at a shocking speed. Shen Fengho could not fight for a long time, so no matter what kind of attack he faced, he had to use all his strength to end the battle as quickly as possible. The condensed green flames were extracted by a powerful force and were being carried into the air by the tornadoes at an extremely fast speed. There were originally 4 greenish-black tornadoes, but in the blink of an eye, they turned into 4 flaming tornadoes. The strange green abyssal flames released intense light, illuminating the dark world. Go! The 4 violent tornadoes gathered together and actually condensed into an even larger super tornado. Countless green abyssal flames were driven by the tornado and suddenly turned into an earth-shattering wave that slammed down on a large group of demon soldiers in front of it. In an instant, a giant scar was formed on the ground. Several hundred demon soldiers were disintegrated by the green abyss flames, not even ashes could be found. The Western Marquis and the Divine Arrow Marquis were secretly shocked. Shen Fengho had lived in seclusion in Central State for many years and it seemed like he had become stronger than before. With a casual move, he could take away a portion of the energy in the crater, so this was a good chance to destroy the demon stone. Mind's eye open. The Golden Arrow Marquis used his mind's eye to lock onto the demon stone and shot an arrow from his golden bow. This green abyss flame was very strange, being 100 times more tyrannical than normal flames. Normal flames had a gradual process of burning things, but the green abyss flame contained a strong destructive might. When an object was surrounded by the green abyss flame, it would first be torn apart before being swallowed. For example, if a piece of steel fell into it, steel would not gradually melt from the outside to the inside. It would first be torn apart by a powerful force, crushed into powder from the inside out, and then completely incinerated in the process. When the arrow shot into the crater, it immediately began to tremble. Of course, the Golden Arrow Marquis could not be underestimated. The arrow quickly spun and a powerful energy dispersed the surroundings, creating a path through it, instantly hitting the demon stone in the crater. Ka. Countless cracks appeared on the surface of the dark green demon stone. It's effective. The Western Marquis, Shen Guanhong's eyes lit up when he saw this, shoot another arrow and shatter the demon stone. When the Golden Arrow Marquis was prepared to draw his bow, the ground began to tremble. A terrifying energy fluctuation came from the center of the crater and a wave of green flames spread in all directions. Wherever the green abyssal flame spread, everything, be it stone, wood, or soil, was disintegrated and then burned to ashes. What a strong force! Shen Fengho's expression changed. Be careful. Let me. The Western Marquis, Shen Guanhong, condensed his spirit energy on his long spear. The sharp tip of the spear instantly softened, as if it was covered in a layer of ink. He drew a giant arc in the air. The green abyssal flame that had erupted was pulled in by a strong force and was completely sucked into the arc, being sealed by the Western Marquis energy. The Shangguan family's secret technique, ink prison. Shen Guanhong had drawn a barrier that could absorb energy. Not only could it absorb any energy attack, it could also compress the energy and reflect it back. This was a very powerful secret technique. At this moment, the endless green abyssal flame condensed, turning into a large ball that was covered in a layer of black ink. With the Western Marquis releasing his energy, the large ball became the size of a fist. The energy was condensed to its limit and perhaps because the energy was too dense, the surrounding air began to distort. The Western Marquis used his spirit energy to roar, "Bounce it back for me." The black ball of energy seemed to be incomparably heavy. With his spirit energy, it did not directly fly out, only being pushed back a few meters before stopping. There was a tyrannical energy that continued to corrode the ink prison's barrier. Cracks began to appear and it released a dazzling glow. The black ball of energy slowly turned dark green. Not only did it quickly increase in size, there were many bumps on the surface, just like a large irregular tumor. What is going on? Shen Guanhong could not suppress this energy and could not help panicking. The ball of energy became larger and larger and the cracks began to increase. The clear and melodious sound of shattering was like the sound of glass cracking, but it was much sharper, and there were waves of vigorous energy fluctuations being emitted from it, causing one's heart to palpitate. This is bad. Shen Fengho loudly shouted, "Quickly retreat." Shen Fengho's hands turned into long wind whips that instantly wrapped around the Golden Arrow Marquis and the Western Marquis. Hong! A terrifying explosion rang out. The green abyssal flame that Shangguan Hong had sealed in the barrier exploded once again, creating a large hole in the ground. The surrounding rocks were turned to dust and finally turned to ashes. A dark green flame soared into the sky. Just like a giant mushroom, it suddenly bloomed in the sky above White Jade City. The three marquises were hit by the shockwave and fell into the ruins, with blood flowing from the corners of their mouths. Roar, roar, roar. An angry and wild roar came from the crater at this time. Suddenly, another huge green pillar of fire soared into the sky. This power was 10 times stronger than the previous one. It was like a pillar that supported the heavens. It instantly pierced into the low clouds, and the sky seemed to be ignited, reflecting a glossy green color. This is bad. The expressions of the three marquises fell. The demon's strength was stronger than they had imagined, and it was not just a little bit stronger, it was not something they could fight against. This demon's strength far surpassed the awakened soul realm. The Southern Summer 8 marquises were only at the peak 9th awakened soul layer. If they met an existence above the awakened soul realm, only the three rulers would be able to fight against them. Not to mention the might and strength this demon displayed, it was several times stronger than the three rulers. CSI. When the oppressive aura burst forth. Whether it was inside or outside the city, the horses of the cavalry were all shocked and began to wildly jump. The cavalry troops all collapsed and the entire city fell into chaos. A sharp sound came from the flame clouds in the sky. Be careful. Meteor rain. After the pillar of flames soared into the sky, countless giant rocks were thrown into the sky. After the giant rocks were touched by the green abyss flames, they wildly fell down in all directions like rain. The several dozen cavalry soldiers were charging forward. They suddenly felt the ground turn green. When the cavalry all looked up, they all revealed looks of horror. A giant burning rock with a diameter of 3 meters was falling in the middle of them. The horses had already lost control. They could not dodge at all. Dong! The ground violently trembled and a large burning hole appeared. The cavalry did not have time to escape before they were killed. Following that, a monster made of green flames stood up from the center of the hole. Its body was made of flames and there was not a trace of a corpse on it. It instantly charged at a nearby cavalry soldier, igniting the man and his horse, turning them into charcoal. Large amounts of burning rocks continued to fall in all directions. A flame demon would crawl out from every place the boulder hit. The flaming demon did not have a physical body, so it was useless against weapons. It was an elemental life form that could float in the air and change its shape, turning every part of its body into a weapon. This monster was too strong, even an illustrious soul realm human would find it hard to fight against it. Damn! We've lost control of the situation. Shen Fengho released a tornado that destroyed 3-4 flaming demons. However, when the tornado disappeared, the flames in the air that had not been extinguished gathered together again, turning into 2 flaming demons. He had only killed 1 or 2. This demon's stone is still summoning demons. There are more and more of them. We have to destroy this demon's stone, otherwise the consequences will be unimaginable. There were so many terrifying demons. Even the power of the 3 marquises could not destroy them. If they were to wreak havoc in Thunder State, it would truly be a calamity. Shen Fengho released 4 tornadoes that surrounded the 3 of them. All the green flaming demons that tried to approach were sucked into the tornadoes and turned into countless pieces. The Golden Arrow Marquis drew his bow, wanting to find the demon's stone. Only by destroying the demon's stone would they have a chance of survival. In the end, they never thought that the demon's stone in the crater would already disappear. It's above our heads. The 3 marquises looked up at the same time. There was a giant dark green demon stone that had appeared above their heads. It was clear that it had been sent into the sky by the pillar of flames. This demon stone was covered in cracks, but it was covered in flames. It was incomparably dazzling, just like a green sun. It was falling down at a terrifying speed. Retreat! The three marquises used all their strength to retreat. The demon stone slammed into the ground, causing the entire ground to tremble. A large hole that was several dozen meters wide appeared in the ground and green flames filled the sky. The surrounding ruins were all destroyed, leaving behind a large piece of empty ground. The three marquises were affected by the flames. That power had caused quite a bit of damage to them. A monstrous aura burst forth from where the demon stone landed. The inside of the demon stone rumbled, and the entire dark green boulder kept changing shape. A body, a head, 2 arms, 2 legs. Finally, it stood up from the ground. When the three marquises looked up with ashen faces, they were completely stunned. The giant stone had turned into a complete human shape, standing in front of them. It was very tall, being over 10 meters tall. The three of them were like pitiful insects under its feet. A monster they had never heard of before. Was this the true appearance of an abyss demon? The demon stone turned into a stone person covered in green flames. The interior was filled with dense flames and the outer shell was made of dark green stone. Countless green flames flowed around its body, giving off a strong aura and a terrifying aura. It was something the three marquises had never seen before. From the burning green flame giant, a wild spiritual wave was released. Lowly and weak existences from other planes. The green flame giant waved its arms and the countless green abyss flames turned into thousands of flame blades that quickly shot out. Just a demon from another world. Don't be arrogant. The golden arrow marquis shot out an arrow that instantly turned into a dense rain of arrows that fell onto the monster like a wild storm. Die. The western marquis Shangguan Hong also drew a seal filled with an aura of destruction that fell onto the green flame giant, seal of death. Wind and cloud sword song. Shen Fengho summoned thousands of strands of sword qi and used the sword qi to form a giant arrow that slashed at the green flame giant's head. The three marquises used all their strength to attack. The green flame giant's dark green stone outer shell was shattered and its giant body twisted. But very quickly, the shattered outer shell was restored and it was completely unharmed. Too strong. We are not its match at all. The hearts of the three marquises trembled. This monster was truly incredible. The green flame giant released a fierce spiritual wave, as if it was laughing at these overconfident existences. Although its strength was far from being restored, it was more than enough to crush these small creatures. The western marquis no longer had any thoughts of resisting. Let's retreat. Otherwise we're dead. The golden arrow marquis had a look of unwillingness, but he did not have a better choice. We have to report this to the three rulers. We can't. Only Shen Fengho tightly clenched his fists. He thought of Chu Tian's words, this abyss demon has crossed planes and is currently in a heavily injured state. If it is given a bit more time to recover, the three rulers will not be its match. What use do we have? Staying here means death. The western marquis did not want to die in this place. Shen Fengho gritted his teeth, we have to at least lure it out of the city. The golden arrow marquis was stunned, what do you mean? There's no time to explain. Shen Fengho shouted at the two of them, move, we'll lure it out of the city. Chapter 220. While the three marquises were fighting with the abyss demon, Chu Tian was already several dozen kilometers away from White Jade City. A wild aura suddenly exploded from White Jade City behind him, like a surging tide that swallowed the area. CSI. The warhorse instantly lost control and began to wildly run across the grass. After spending a lot of effort, they finally managed to control the warhorse. At the same time, a green pillar of fire shot into the sky from the direction of the city, covering most of the sky in green flames. Countless small meteors fell from the clouds. Even though they were very far away, they could still feel the tremors. The terrifying scene was very spectacular and shocking. Nan Gongyun turned around and saw a large demon stone fly into the sky along with the pillar of fire before falling down in a certain direction. She shouted with her mouth wide open, "My God, what is that?" Dong! The earth shook again. A large and ancient evil power continued to grow. The three marquises were clearly fighting with an unimaginable monster. It can't be wrong. Chu Tian saw the demon stone fall and the rain of fire, and his eyes flashed with a strange light. He was already certain, this is an elemental abyss demon called Hellfire. It is a low to mid-level demon species in the abyss world. Low to mid-level demon. Yunyao found it hard to imagine, how can a low to mid-level demon have this kind of strength? The life of the abyss world is not something a small country like this can imagine. Chu Tian paused here. The hellfire demons have a very long lifespan and grow through devouring and plundering. If it was a hellfire that had grown for tens of thousands of years, it could easily destroy all of southern Xia. Yunyao asked, "How strong is this one?" Chu Tian looked in the direction of the city. "According to my estimates, it should be less than 1,000 years. Adding in the fact that it forcefully crossed the plane crack, it should be greatly injured. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have a chance to escape." Feng Katie's heart tightened and she couldn't help worrying for her father. Then what should we do? The three marquises definitely can't beat this hellfire, but they can hold on for a while and consume its strength. We need to hurry. After Chu Tian calmed the warhorse down, he immediately headed east. "You guys come with me." They advanced for a few minutes. A small basin appeared in his field of view, and a mature and beautiful black-clothed woman had been waiting for a long time. She held several long array flags in her hand, and each flag had a source energy array drawn on it. It seemed like some kind of energy was suppressed inside and could be released at any time. Isn't this Aunt Chen?" Nan Gongyun was a little surprised. "Why are you here?" Chu Tian asked, "Have you buried the array flags?" Chen Bingyu nodded. "Everything has been arranged according to your request." Array flags, as the name suggested, were tools used to set up arrays. They would probably only be widely used in the next few thousand years. An array flag was to first seal a source energy array inside the flag. When it was time to use it, one only needed to insert the flag into the ground and release the power sealed in the array flag. The source energy array would be instantly released, saving them the trouble of arranging it at the last minute. Array flags were fast and convenient. They could be casually inserted into the flag, and the source energy array would not be restricted by the terrain or environment. However, most array flags and talismans were one-time use items. Chu Tian had made a total of 14 array flags. 4 large array flags were inserted into the 4 corners of the valley, and the other 10 small array flags were carried by Chen Bingyu. Chu Tian nodded. "All right, everyone prepare yourselves. We need to go all out. I hope this array will work." Yunyao was skeptical. The abyss demon is this strong, can an array have any effect? This array was made with divine blood. Borrowing the power of a spiritual god to suppress the weakened abyss demon, I think it should be more than enough. Chu Tian looked at the sky-shaking city. After the hellfire fights the three marquises, it will consume a large amount of energy. This will increase our chances of winning. Feng Kaidai asked, "This place is very far from White Jade City, how will we lure the demon over?" "There's no need to worry about that, I've already sent out bait." Bait? The three of them realized that the little fox that had been lying on the shoulder of the Chu family and was inseparable from Chu Tian had left at some point. Dong! Dong! The hellfire demon's strength was too terrifying, creating a large hole in the ground with each attack. The three-continent army was completely defeated. Most of the cavalry had lost control and were killed by the demon soldiers and the flame demon. There were a few that were lucky enough to escape the city. Ink seal. While the hellfire demon was chasing the three marquises, it accidentally stepped on an ink-like substance. This ink-like substance instantly crawled over its body like ants, forming tadpole-like runes. The flames on Hellfire Demon's body dimmed, as if it was being suppressed by a sealing power. Frozen Arrow. The Golden Arrow Marquis took this chance to shoot several crystal blue lights that fell onto the Hellfire Demon's giant body. A large amount of cold air was released along with the ice. Roar. The Hellfire Demon exploded with a roar. The green flames around its body surged and the ice shattered. The black marks were all evaporated, as if it was not affected at all. Its right hand condensed a compressed flame and it threw a giant fireball at the three of them. Hurricane Impact. Shen Fenghe raised his hands and a strong hurricane was released. The fireball ignited the hurricane and the flames swallowed it. The three marquises were sent flying by the flames and their injuries were becoming more serious. They did not have much spirit energy left. Even if the Abyss Demon was very weak, it still had strength surpassing the awakened soul realm. Although its attacks were very strong, it still had most of its strength left. It was not something the three marquises could resist. Keep going. Shen Fenghe's blue robe was already burnt, his arms were covered in blood, and his hair was scattered. It could be said that he was in an unprecedented sorry state, but he still did not give up. If they could not destroy the demon this time, Southern Xia would not only lose Thunder State, the Abyss Demon had intelligence. It was cruel, plundering, and killing, which was a large hidden danger. The Western Marquis and the Golden Arrow Marquis could not hold on any longer. Feng Yuntian, what do you want to do? Shen Guanhong angrily reprimanded, this monster is too strong, only the three rulers have a chance of winning. Retreat. The Golden Arrow Marquis also wanted to retreat, we can't make unnecessary sacrifices. Shen Fenghe expressionlessly said, you leave first, I have to lure it out. After saying this, Shen Fenghe flew into the air and sent several wind blades at the Hellfire Demon. The Hellfire Demon gave an angry roar. These weak existences were too hateful. Not only did they hinder its recovery, they were like flies that kept harassing it. Were all the existences this stupid? They knew that their attacks could not break its defenses and that it would be useless no matter how hard they tried, but they still kept harassing it. This was simply seeking death. Since you want to die, then I'll help you. As long as I swallow your strength, I will become even stronger. The Hellfire Demon exploded with an even stronger power, and a torrential storm of attacks came down like raindrops. We can't block it anymore. Retreat. The Western Marquis and the Golden Arrow Marquis decided to retreat. When Shen Fenghe flew out of White Jade City, the Hellfire Demon chased after him. It ignored all obstacles and slammed into the city walls with its burning body. The east wall of White Jade City suddenly collapsed and a large hole was created by the Hellfire Demon. The Hellfire Demon was like a piece of paper, not slowing down at all. Its spirit energy was almost used up. Shen Fenghe had reached his limit. The Hellfire Demon was already in front of him. At this critical moment, a gray smoke suddenly appeared in front of him and turned into a cute little white fox. The little white fox jumped onto the Hellfire Demon's face and took a deep breath at the hellfire. The flames on the Hellfire Demon's body left its body and was sucked in by the little fox. It's Chu Tian's fox. Shen Fenghe never thought that he would be saved by this little fox. The little white fox was like a perverted demon, suddenly kissing a young girl's face. How could the Hellfire Demon not be enraged? Pang! The Hellfire Demon spat out green abyss flames from its mouth. The fox's figure flashed and appeared behind the Hellfire Demon. It sucked in the Hellfire Demon's breath and the flames on the Hellfire Demon dissipated a bit. Roar, roar! The Hellfire Demon was completely enraged. It gave up on Shen Fenghe and used its entire body to attack the fox. Shen Fenghe took this chance to fly away, quickly retreating. He sighed in his heart, I've already reached my limit, it's all up to you now. The Hellfire Demon's body was covered in flames that were several times stronger than before, turning into a flaming giant. The little fox had no way to stop and immediately wanted to turn around and run. The Hellfire Demon's intelligence was not high, but it knew that the little fox was trying to lure it away. It needed to recover its strength first. It did not have time to waste with this ant. When it was about to return to White Jade City, the little fox chased after it and sucked in another breath. The Hellfire Demon was filled with rage. This creature was not strong, but its ability to absorb energy made the Hellfire Demon's teeth itch with hatred. The little fox's absorption ability was not high, so it couldn't kill the Hellfire Demon with just this method. It was as annoying as a wasp, constantly coming to stab it. It was very annoying. All right. I'll kill you first. The Hellfire Demon gave up on chasing Shin Fengho's group of 3 and chased the little fox all over the mountain. The little fox brought the Hellfire Demon like this, crossing over 2 hills before finally stopping in a small valley. Actually, the little fox's continuous teleportation couldn't be used indefinitely. At this moment, it was already very tired. The Hellfire Demon could feel the little fox quickly becoming weaker. This annoying fellow could die now. The Hellfire Demon took a step forward and was about to stomp the little fox to death. Red beams of light shot out from all 4 directions of the small valley. 4 scarlet red beams shot out and landed on the center of the valley. These were 4 scarlet red arrays that overlapped onto the Hellfire Demon's body. Those scarlet red arrays were like ropes that bound the Hellfire Demon, immediately binding the Hellfire Demon in place. The flames on its body were like a bucket of cold water, instantly extinguishing. What was going on? The Hellfire Demon's body was incomparably heavy. Each movement was like 1,000 tons, even walking became very difficult. This energy was not strong. But it was enough to suppress it, making it unable to resist. These damn beings from other planes. Chapter 221. Thunder State City. Countless citizens had been waiting in fear for a long time, but now they received a piece of news that made them lose their courage. Tragic, tragic. The 3 marquises have been defeated. Thunder State's storm cavalry have been completely wiped out. Thunder State is finished. The demons are about to attack. Everyone, run for your lives. Even the Western Marquis successor, the Golden Arrow Marquis successor, the only daughter of Shin Fengho, and the geniuses of the 3 states have all been lost. A small group of heavily injured storm cavalry ran back. They were all covered in black smoke and their flesh had been torn apart. It was simply a tragic sight. All of Thunder State City had exploded. The demons are about to attack. Quickly run. Panic spread even faster than the plague. In just a few short hours, the entire Lijiao city was filled with fear. Everyone brought their children with them and carried all of their belongings as they scrambled to escape. Thunder State had never seen such a large number of people fleeing before. If everyone left Thunder State City, wouldn't Thunder State City become a dead city? This was the main city of a state. Thunder State City's officials quickly sent soldiers to suppress them. The city gates were sealed, the streets were blocked, and the people within the city were unable to leave. The helpless citizens fell into an even deeper state of fear. Afterwards, the fear gradually turned into anger, and a rarely seen riot occurred within Lijiao City. Fuck. You don't have the ability to protect Thunder State City, yet you won't let us escape. Dying at the hands of the demons is death, dying at your hands is also death. Why don't we just die? Countless angry citizens attacked the soldiers blocking the road. Thunder State City was instantly turned into a mess. Countless houses were set on fire and the soldiers were surrounded by the citizens, being beaten to death countless times. Mom! Mom! A girl with 2 braids was separated from her family and was sitting in the middle of the chaotic street crying in panic. Thunder State's calamity, Thunder State's calamity. Who can save Thunder State? An old man looked up at the smoky Thunder State city and gave a few sorrowful cries. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Meng Yingying saved a few children and brought them to her side, but she saw more and more people falling to the ground. She had no way of stopping this and could only stare blankly at the shocking scene in front of her. Why was this happening? How could he lose? That was impossible. Lin Mu and Fang Han hurried over. Second miss, it's dangerous here. Let's retreat. No, Chu Tian hasn't come back yet. Meng Yingying said firmly, there's still hope. The two of them revealed helpless expressions. It wasn't that he didn't trust the boss. The problem was that the three marquises had failed. Thunder State City was in chaos and more people were injured. Shen Fengho, the Four-Direction Marquis, and the Golden Arrow Marquis, the three marquises had finally returned. The three of them were in rags and covered in dirt. They looked like beggars and didn't have the elegant demeanor of a marquis. Stop! The Western Marquis flew into a rage. Are you damned mobs rebelling? If we don't kill them, we won't be able to uphold the law. Forget it. The Golden Arrow Marquis helplessly waved his hand. It's not their fault. This Marquis is the protector of Thunder State and cannot protect them, it is my incompetence. The Golden Arrow Marquis directly announced, open the city gates and let the citizens escape. Shen Fengho also gave a heavy sigh. The countless bleeding soldiers were stunned by the Golden Arrow Marquis orders. Where did the invincible Golden Arrow Marquis of the past go? At this moment, there was only a heavily injured old soldier with broken armor and a charred body. If the Marquis was like this, what else could they do? What else could they do? Pa! Pa! The spears were thrown to the ground. Countless soldiers joined the ranks of the refugees. Who wanted to escape from the place they had lived for generations? Who was willing to live the life of a refugee? However, Thunder State was no longer safe. Other than escaping, they had no other choice. The three marquises were speechless as they looked at the chaotic Thunder State city. This was the first time they felt how small their strength was. Feichen did not come back. He most likely lost his way in the chaos. The Western Marquis knit his brows. Damn. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come to Thunder State. Shen Fengho looked into the distance. Although it was not possible, he really hoped that this youth could create another miracle. Thunder State was one of the 8 states of the southern summer country. With the loss of Thunder State, the country's strength had been greatly reduced. Southern Xia was constantly threatened by the spirit beasts from the north and was already in a dangerous situation, so how could they withstand such a large blow? No one knew. The main culprit of this disaster was already trapped in a small valley. The Hellfire Demon was born in the Abyss World, a chaotic space without any civilization. Killing and plundering were the only laws. When had it ever seen the methods of a life form from another world? Chu Tian, Yun Yao, Feng Kaidai, and Nangong Yun each occupied a corner of the valley. Each person held an array flag. The flags projected a large array, imprinting it on the Hellfire Demon's body. This array was drawn with diluted divine blood, so although the array itself was not strong, it contained a weak spiritual god's power. The Hellfire Demon was suppressed by this power. It did not know how to deal with it, but its intuition told it that if it did not escape, it would be in great danger. Roar! The Hellfire Demon felt a strong sense of unease as it suddenly took a step forward. The Hellfire Demon was too strong and Nangong Yun and the others felt a strong pulling force that could forcefully pull the array flag from their hands. Hold on tight. We can't let go. Otherwise we're dead. Chu Tian's feet were embedded in the ground as he grit his teeth and tightly held onto the array flag. The other 3 were bitterly resisting the Hellfire Demon, using all their strength. The Hellfire Demon had used too much of its strength to fight the 3 marquises and chase after the little fox, so it was hard for it to escape from the array. The Hellfire Demon gave a loud roar into the sky. Several green flame demons wandering nearby were summoned and immediately floated over to the valley. These green flame demons had battle strength close to the illustrious soul realm, so they could not be underestimated. Don't be affected. Chu Tian loudly shouted, this fellow is almost out of strength, we'll hold on for a bit longer. When the green flame demons were about to reach the valley, the little white fox charged in front of them and sucked away a large amount of energy from their bodies. Following that, a black figure fell from the sky along with thousands of snowflakes. The green flame demons were hit by the countless snowflakes and were immediately destroyed. The hellfire demon struggled several times, but it failed each time. Its strength became weaker and weaker. It's about time. Chu Tian ordered, Chen Bingyu, go. Chen Bingyu immediately took out a small flag and jumped into the valley. The hellfire demon sent a fist at her, but its speed and power had been greatly reduced. Chen Bingyu easily dodged the attack and circled behind the hellfire demon. She jumped up and stabbed the flag into the ground. The flames on the hellfire demon's back were extinguished. With the small flag as the center, countless blood-red strands of energy instantly covered half of its back. It was like a mountain was pressing down on it. Dong! The hellfire demon's giant body fell to the ground and it struggled several times, but it couldn't stand up. Chen Bingyu took out a second small flag and was prepared to attack again. Who would have thought that the hellfire demon's head would suddenly turn 180 degrees and the green flames turned into a fire arrow that shot at her? Chu Tian was shocked, be careful. Pang! The gray fog appeared. The little fox teleported in front of Chen Bingyu and swallowed the flames into its stomach. This time it became strong and its little belly became round. Good job. Chu Tian quickly ordered, stab into its knee. An array flag was stabbed into the hellfire demon's knee. Suddenly, a large amount of blood-red energy covered its right leg. The hellfire demon kneeled on the ground, as if it couldn't stand up. The four of them felt relieved. The hellfire demon didn't have the strength to continue resisting the array. Shoulder. Chen Bingyu stabbed a flag into her right shoulder and a large amount of blood-red energy wrapped around her arm, making her arm lose its strength. Every flag had its own array formation. These arrays were made with the power of a spiritual god. The hellfire demon's power was suppressed and it couldn't resist anymore. Not to mention this hellfire demon that wasn't strong, even if it was a 10,000-year-old hellfire demon or a 100,000-year-old hellfire demon, it was no different from an ant in front of a spiritual god. It can't hold on. Let's work harder. Under Chu Tian's orders, several array flags were inserted into the hellfire demon's body. The hellfire demon's body was covered in blood-red veins and it had completely lost its demon power. There was only a dark green shell that was releasing smoke, but it couldn't even burn a trace of green abyss flames. Ice Soul Palm. Chen Bingyu sent out a palm. The dark green shell did not move at all. This thing was very sturdy. Chu Tian shouted, you can't break this shell, so don't worry about its shell. The hellfire demon has a demon heart inside its body, it's the demon's lifeline. Destroy it. Chen Bingyu looked through the dark green shell. In the center of the hellfire demon's body, there was a heart beating in a certain rhythm, slowly sending energy to its body. Don't kill me. The hellfire demon released a spiritual wave, I'll be your servant. Nangong Yun and Feng Kai Dai were shocked. With the hellfire demon's strength, if it recovered its peak strength, it would be above the three rulers. If it could be used by humans, it would be a strong helper. You think I'll believe an abyss demon? Chu Tian gave a cold laugh, not moving at all, do it. Chen Bingyu released a large amount of snowflake source spirit, condensing it into an incomparably large icicle that pierced through the demon's heart filled with life energy. No! The hellfire demon gave a pitiful cry. The rock shell began to collapse like a building block, losing its support, instantly turning into a pile of rubble. Dead! This incomparably hard to deal with monster that even the three marquises couldn't deal with had died under Chu Tian's array. Although they had killed the Hellfire Demon, the four of them were exhausted. Even Chen Bingyu had used up all of her spirit energy, losing all of her battle strength. It's dead. We've won. We've actually won. Father would be proud of us if he knew. Nangong Yun, Feng Kaidai, and Yun Yao excitedly cheered. Although it was only a support, the incomparably strong Hellfire Demon had been killed by their hands. No matter who it was, they would be incomparably proud. The little fox licked its claws and shook its furry tail. Its two sparkling eyes stared at the Hellfire Demon's corpse. Its eyes suddenly flashed. The little fox spat out a small wooden man and used its two little claws to hold the wooden man. It jumped onto the Hellfire Demon's corpse and forcefully shook the wooden man. A purple thing floated out of the Hellfire Demon's body. Nangong Yun asked in a surprised voice, "What is this little thing doing?" Chapter 222. Soul Puppet. Chu Tian recognized the thing in the little fox's hand. This was a very precious treasure that could replace a physical body and become a vessel for a soul. After the little fox used the soul puppet to absorb the Hellfire Demon's soul, the normal soul puppet had turned into a miniature version of the Hellfire. The little fox gently blew on the puppet. The Hellfire's soul was thrown out and there was a flash of light as it landed on the ground. It suddenly turned into a physical form and a miniature version of the Hellfire appeared in front of them. This summoned Hellfire was around 20 feet tall, which was around a third of the size of the Hellfire that was killed. Its strength was far from the original. But from the aura it released, it was quite strong. It could even fight against the Southern Summer 8 Marquises. The most important thing was that this Hellfire did not have a mind. It was completely controlled by the little fox. Feng Kaidai, Nangong Yun, and Yun Yao were shocked. What kind of technique was this? It actually used the Hellfire's soul to summon a new Hellfire. The little fox cheered in excitement. It loudly chirped in excitement. The Hellfire turned into a puppet and returned to the little fox's hand. It quickly swallowed it, as if it was afraid that someone would steal its treasure. Chu Tian rubbed his chin. This was a bit like the ancient demonic race's demonic technique. This little fox had followed father for so long, did it finally awaken a bit of skill? Chu Tian asked, "You hid it from me in the trial tower just to exchange for this puppet?" The little fox proudly nodded, looking like it was the strongest. "Then why didn't you tell me earlier?" Chu Tian slammed his head down, "Do you think I would steal this broken thing from you?" The little fox revealed a look of disdain as it rubbed its head. Who knew? Actually, as the little fox grew up, it had slowly awakened some abilities in its memories, but it wasn't sure if it would be useful or not. The little fox had exchanged the soul puppet for an experiment, but it never thought it would be this easy to use. After obtaining the summoning ability, its battle strength had increased by a large amount. It could finally be a fox with its chest out. Chu Tian continued to say, "A soul summoning technique, this seems like a demonic race technique. I never thought that this fellow would have a bit of skill after evolving. Since that was the case, why did he put away the Hellfire? It's so cool to release this thing." The little fox waved a few times. The little fox's magic was limited. The soul puppet was a top-grade soul storage tool. However, it was best to extract the soul while the Hellfire was still alive. This way, the soul would be fresh and energetic, and it could be used for a long time. When Hellfire was killed, his soul was already in a state of dissipation. Even if the little fox was sucked in by the soul puppet, even if it couldn't be used, it could only last for 2 months. Every time it was summoned, it would weaken even faster. Once the soul was exhausted, it would be useless. The little fox could summon Hellfire 3-4 times at most. Because it had only used it once in a short test, it only had 3 chances left. Other than that, maintaining the hellfire consumed a lot of the little fox's energy. How much would it need to eat to make up for it? So unless it was absolutely necessary, the little fox was not willing to use it. The price of this soul puppet was definitely not cheap, but from the looks of it, the little fox was quite reliable. At least with the soul puppet and the hell flame soul, it could release the battle strength of the ninth awakened soul layer. I won't bicker with you about the trial tower. Chu Tian fiercely said to the little fox, there won't be a next time. The little fox obediently nodded. Who knew what it was thinking in its heart? Nangong Yun stared at the stones on the ground and said, what do we do with these remains? Nonsense. These are precious materials from the abyss that have been burned by the abyss flame for thousands of years without being damaged. Of course we have to bring them back. Everyone agreed on this point. How strong was Chen Bingyu? Chen Bingyu's full-strength palm could not damage it at all. From this, it could be seen how strong the hellfire demon's outer shell was. Other than that, this stone could cross spatial barriers without being destroyed, and it could be burned by the abyss flame all year round. This was enough to show its high temperature resistance and high strength. These stones are just free gifts. Chu Tian mysteriously said, the reason I didn't hesitate to come to Thunder State was mainly because of this hellfire demon. The hellfire demon was not a rare demon in the abyss world. There were countless demons that were stronger and more terrifying than it in the abyss world. However, the abyss world was a space that could not be explored by the beings of this era, so the beings of the abyss could only come by luck. This hellfire demon's value was naturally very precious. The hellfire demon could bring Chu Tian some abyss materials, but the things that interested Chu Tian the most were the abyss flame and the demon's heart. The abyss world's environment was very special. The abyss was a chaotic world. It had the characteristics of when all living things were born. In the abyss world's environment, there would often be natural treasures. There were even many beings that were born naturally and not born from their mothers. The hellfire demon was a very common innate being. This being did not have the ability to reproduce and could not split like the elemental race. They were born from a dense abyss aura condensing to a certain degree and a special opportunity to create a fire seed. The innate fire seed contained a strong abyss aura and finally began to have its own thoughts. It began to wander the abyss world, and through swallowing energy ores, it continued to grow, turning into a flaming meteor that roamed the abyss world. When the hellfire demon was killed, its thoughts and power would quickly disappear, but the fire seed would stubbornly survive. After a few years, it would form another hellfire demon. As for the demon's heart, it was the abyss demon's lifeline. The environment of the abyss was very harsh. If demons wanted to survive and reproduce in such an environment, they had to desperately reduce their weaknesses. The vast majority of abyss demons were very difficult to kill. Breaking their arms, legs, beheading, or even dismembering them into pieces was very difficult to effectively kill. The reason was very simple. Abyssals also had a special ability. They could condense their life force into a life core. All of their life force, soul, and spirit were gathered in this core. As long as the core wasn't destroyed, they could regrow a hand or a leg. Even if they were beheaded, they wouldn't die. This core was the demon's heart. When Chu Tian placed the inkstone fragments into the gourd, he found 4-5 pieces of the demon's heart. Chu Tian revealed a look of joy. This demon was not strong, but for Chu Tian at this stage, it was very useful. In addition, he also found a fist-sized green crystal that looked like amber. This was not a crystal stone, but rather a dense flame. This was the source of the hellfire demon's power, the fire seed. This abyss fire seed was very strong and had a very dense abyss energy. The most important thing was that the abyss hellfire's nature was very suitable for Chu Tian to cultivate the netherworld flame sword. If he could swallow this flame, his sword art would reach the large success realm. Actually, when Shen Fengho had explained the situation in Thunder State, Chu Tian had already guessed the identity of the abyss demon. This fire seed was one of the main reasons why Chu Tian did not hesitate to take the risk to participate in this mission. The Netherworld Flame Sword he obtained from the 10,000 Corpse Ancient Tomb was an ancient sword art recorded in the Netherworld Sword. It was a remnant of an ancient sword art, but it was a very powerful sword art. During the cultivation process, Chu Tian had continuously improved it and now it was several times stronger than the original sword art. The Netherworld Flame Sword was a bit similar to the Starlight Immortal Body. If he had enough materials, he could learn it quickly, but the materials were very hard to find. Chu Tian had finally found this chance, how could he be willing to give it up? This risk was worth it. Help me look around. Chu Tian pulled out the Netherworld Sword, I want to absorb this fire seed now. The Hellfire Demon was already dead and the fire seed was quickly weakening. Chu Tian did not have time to bring the fire seed back to refine, so he directly refined it on the spot. Chu Tian placed the fire seed on the ground and looked at the ice blue blade. The Abyss Flame's quality is not inferior to the Netherworld Ghost Flame, it's even higher. Now let's see if you can take it or not. After saying this, Chu Tian stabbed the sword into the fire seed. A final cry came from the fire seed as the Hellfire Demon's last hope of revival was shattered. A strong energy was released and instantly swept in all directions. The green flame was absorbed from the fire seed and slowly flowed along the blade. Chu Tian could clearly feel the Netherworld Sword's excitement and nervousness. It was excited because this energy was too delicious. If it could swallow this energy, the Netherworld Sword would be able to recover most of its power and return to the level of a soul-contracting weapon. The reason it was nervous was because this energy was not inferior to it. If it could not defeat the Abyss Flame, it would burn itself in the end. A blue and white flame was released. The two flames interweaved, pulling and swallowing each other, creating a very intense battle. In terms of quality, the Abyss Flame was not inferior to the Netherworld Flame. The Netherworld Ghost Flame had its own consciousness, so it could become the Netherworld Sword's weapon spirit. The Abyss Flame also had its own consciousness, so it could evolve into a strong Abyss Demon. Without a doubt, the Abyss Flame could exist on its own and could even cultivate into a demon. In terms of potential, it was stronger than the Netherworld Ghost Flame. But the Abyss Flame was in a weakened state and the Netherworld Flame had the home field advantage, so it gradually suppressed the green flame and gained the upper hand. The Abyss Flame was slowly absorbed by the Netherworld Sword. However, although the Abyss Flame had a slim chance of winning, it did not give up. While the Netherworld Flame was absorbing the Abyss Flame, it was gradually affected by the Abyss Aura and began to change in nature. The Netherworld Sword continued to tremble. After that, there was a strong energy that entered Chu Tian's body. When the Abyss Demon was absorbed by the Netherworld Sword, it produced a strong spiritual energy that was sent into Chu Tian's body. Chu Tian could clearly feel that this energy was very strong, it was even enough for Chu Tian to break through his bottleneck. Chu Tian revealed a look of joy. This spiritual energy was very pure and it was enough for him to break through to the fourth awakened soul layer. This was natural. The Abyss Demon was very strong, so after Chu Tian absorbed its energy, breaking through a small bottleneck was not a problem at all. Chapter 223. With this large amount of spiritual energy accumulating in his body, Chu Tian could clearly feel that he was just one step away from breaking through the bottleneck. But in the wilderness, it was not a suitable place to break through. Chu Tian used a secret technique to seal the spiritual energy in his body. Since this energy could not run away, why was he in a rush? He pulled out the sword and the fire seed shattered, turning it into a piece of ordinary stone. The Netherworld sword that was like 10,000-year-old ice was as smooth and cold as a mirror, but there was a faint layer of black chi around it that made the air slightly distort. This was the aura of the abyss. When the sword absorbed the abyss fire seed, not only did it recover its strength, its quality also seemed to change. When Chu Tian activated the sword art, a flame was released from the blade. The flame was still blue, but the color was even brighter. It was as thick as a flawless blue crystal. The blue burning sword chi shot out. Pang! A giant rock in front of him was split in half. The two giant rocks had blue flames that quickly grew. As it grew, the giant rock was swallowed by the flames and slowly turned to ashes. Finally, the entire giant rock was burnt to ashes. So powerful. Although the netherworld flame had been nurtured in the Ghost King's body for countless years, so it had the ability to corrode materials, it did not have the ability to burn materials. Now it had completely changed. The flame was still a cold flame, it had almost no temperature, but it could still decompose materials, creating a stronger effect. If the previous netherworld sword could be said to be a defensive cultivation technique. But the current netherworld sword, not only could it ignite and burn spirit energy, once it touched a material, it could also continuously cause damage. It was the nemesis of defensive equipment and weapons. Without a doubt. Chu Tian's sword was even stronger. The Abyss Green Flames tearing effect and the Netherworld Ghost Flames burning effect were both completely preserved, forming a new Abyss Netherworld Flame. Even Nangong Yun, who cultivated the Starlight Immortal body, found it hard to block the Netherworld Sword's attack. Of course, it wasn't just that. The Netherworld Sword's weapon spirit had basically recovered. The weapon spirit had its own consciousness and normal weapon spirits were refined from demon beast souls. The weapon spirit could increase the power of the weapon and could also protect the weapon. The Netherworld Sword's weapon spirit was an innate spirit flame. In a sense, it was a complete elemental life form and not just a spirit body. Since it was a complete life form, it might be able to leave the weapon. Chu Tian thought of a secret summoning technique he had cultivated in the past. Why not give it a try? Elemental energy flowed endlessly into the sword, and a blue crystal clear flame quickly flowed out. It was like a raging river that gathered in front of him. When the large amount of flame gathered together, it actually gradually formed the shape of a human body. It's the fire demon. Nangong Yun and the others cried out in surprise. The image of this blue flame was exactly the same as the little demon summoned by the Hellfire demon. The only difference was that the flame demon released by the sword flame was blue and the flames that formed its body were different from the green flame demon. The little fox jumped in fright. Was he teasing this fox? This fox's sense of superiority had only formed a few minutes ago. How did Master learn how to summon as well? Master is so abnormal, how can this fox live? Nangong Yun was even more surprised and asked, how can you summon monsters? Strictly speaking, this is not a summoning. The little fox's summoning only needed a soul and it could create something from nothing. This kind of ability was very rare and difficult, it was the technique of the ancient demonic races. Chu Tian's situation was different. Chu Tian did not have the ability to create something from nothing and the Abyss Netherworld Flame had a consciousness, but it did not have the ability to create a body. Chu Tian had used an elemental transformation technique to help it, so he could summon this flame demon in front of him. The flame demon's body was not very stable. It looked like a fierce-looking man, with its body covered in blue flames. There was a pair of horns on its head and its body was covered in a demonic aura, just like an abyss demon. When the flame demon appeared, it first looked around in confusion. Then it walked in front of Chu Tian and released a spiritual wave. My lord has released me. It can speak. It can speak. How can it speak? Everyone including the little fox was shocked. This demon created from flames could actually speak to people. Of course, elemental beings did not have organs, so they could not speak with their mouths. Rather they used their spiritual energy to transmit their thoughts. Not bad. Chu Tian nodded in satisfaction. From today onwards, you will be called Netherworld. The flame demon Netherworld respectfully said, yes, my lord. Chu Tian raised his sword and said, come back. The blue flame demon disintegrated and instantly returned to the Netherworld sword. Netherworld's strength was at the 4th to 5th awakened soul layer. Other than its own strength, it was also directly related to Chu Tian. Because Netherworld wanted to appear in his demon form, he needed Chu Tian to use his secret technique. This adventure had ended. The Netherworld Flame Sword had reached the large success realm, his cultivation base had increased by a large amount, and he had gained a powerful helper. Netherworld's intelligence was not high, so it was a bit slow. However, not having a high intelligence had its own benefits. If his helper was as smart as the little fox, then Chu Tian would really want to cry. This Netherworld had a lot of room to grow and had a very high research value. In the future, it could leave the Netherworld sword and become an independent existence. Not bad, this harvest is very big. Of course your harvest is big, but we also put in quite a bit of effort. Nangong Yun seized the chance to jeer, how are you going to reward us? Reward? Of course I have to reward you. And I have to reward you. Chu Tian was in a very good mood at this moment. What do you want? Just tell me and I'll do my best to satisfy you. Nangong Yun scratched her head. Big sister Yun Yao, Kai Dai, Aunt Chen, what do you want? The three of them had never thought of this problem before, so they helplessly shook their heads. Feng Kai Dai righteously said, getting rid of the great demon is our duty, we will be heavily rewarded by the calm martial ruler when we return, so how can we ask the great contributor brother Chu for a reward? Look. What was called quality? Young Miss Feng was truly a well-educated beauty, she was not like that crazy girl Nangong Yun. But Chu Tian was a righteous person, so of course he would not let them suffer a loss. So he heroically said, you three are my people, so I'll give you a cultivation technique specially used by my people, Starlight Immortal Body, are you satisfied? Starlight Immortal Body. Yun Yao and Feng Kai Dai were stunned. Chen Bingyu's eyes opened wide. This serious beauty was so excited that she almost jumped up. She immediately grabbed onto Chu Tian's clothes, I'll practice it. Chen Bingyu was a martial arts fanatic. Although she had been drooling over the Starlight Immortal Body for a long time, she was just too embarrassed to say it. Chu Tian took this chance to touch Chen Bingyu's smooth and cold little hand, Beauty Chen, don't be so excited. With so many people watching, wouldn't it be bad? Those that don't know would think that you're trying to steal a handsome man in broad daylight. Chen Bingyu's face turned red and she quickly let go, I'm sorry. Relax, I'll give you a copy when I get back. Yun Yao and Feng Kai Dai were also very excited. This Starlight Immortal Body already had a certain reputation in Central State. It was the best defensive cultivation technique in Central State and even Southern Xia. Nangong Yun stared at him and said, what about me? I don't know what you need. Chu Tian was a bit embarrassed. He casually said, if there's no other way, then I'll just have to lower myself and give you my young man's body. Nangong Yun's face turned red, who cares about you? Chu Tian said, then how about I help you learn the great Nirvana scripture? Deal. Nangong Yun and Chu Tian reached an agreement. They really couldn't do anything to this crazy girl. Chu Tian was prepared to leave, but there was the sound of cavalry coming from the side of the mountain. About 200 to 300 storm cavalry quickly came over with Shengguan Feichen leading them. Good Chu Tian. You actually dare become a deserter. Shengguan Feichen hadn't even arrived yet, but his sharp voice had already been heard. Yun Yao laughed and said, what a joke. Don't you have eyes? Chu Tian killed the demon. There were large amounts of green flames left in the little valley, but there were no signs of an intense battle. Even the stone on the hellfire had been taken away by Chu Tian. Just based on Yun Yao's words, Shengguan Feichen would believe her. Chu Tian could defeat the demon. This was simply nonsense. Shengguan Feichen said with a cold smile, not only did you become deserters, you even dare make such a ridiculous excuse. This is simply unforgivable. Nangong Yun angrily shouted, do your eyes grow on your ass? Chu Tian killed the abyss demon and saved your father's life, yet you still dare to keep barking. Did you hear that? Shangguan Feichen did not believe that these people could deal with the monster. He turned to the other cavalry and shouted, "These people are deserters," and even made up a ridiculous excuse, "We can't let them go today. Listen to my orders, capture the deserters and execute the leader, Chu Tian." Why did these people leave the battlefield? Shangguan Feichen did not care. This was a good chance. Nangong Yun was from the Nangong family. Although she was a branch family member, he still had to give her a bit of face. Feng Kaidai was Shen Fengho's daughter, so he could not easily move against her. Yun Yao was from a large central state family, and the Yun sect had a good reputation in southern Xia, so he could let her go. Only Chu Tian had to be killed. This fellow had caused him to lose 2 of his arms and had caused the Shangguan family to lose face. That black-clothed girl. Strange, why hadn't he seen her before? No matter what, he would just kill her at the same time. When Shangguan Feichen was about to charge forward with his cavalry, Shua! A snowflake landed on Shangguan Feichen's warhorse, instantly turning it into an ice sculpture. It exploded into pieces of flesh and Shangguan Feichen was caught off guard and fell to the ground. Shangguan Feichen never would have thought that this black-clothed girl would have this kind of strength. Chen Bingyu's hands gently moved and countless snowflakes fell down. A killing intent filled the world. She was about to start a massacre. With Chen Bingyu's true soul realm strength. If the cavalry had charged at her from the start, perhaps they would have been able to threaten Chen Bingyu, but now they could not deal with her at all. Just Chen Bingyu alone was enough to wipe them all out. Shangguan Feichen said in a shocked voice, "Chu Tian. You dare send people to kill the kingdom's army, do you want to commit treason? A deserter. A traitor. This fellow really knew how to take the blame." You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.